will expire that day. Yeah.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission. Today's Thursday, May 14th. The time is 5:30 p.m. Mayor, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll follow that by a moment of silence to honor our veterans, members of the armed forces, and first responders.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sorry about hitting the chair. While everybody's getting settled, if you could take a moment to look at your cell phones, make sure they are on silent vibrate or turned off, please. Mayor, looks like you got some fun stuff for us.
Issuing a proclamation for Facilities Maintenance Appreciation Week. Whereas facility maintenance professionals are the unsung heroes who work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure our buildings, grounds, and water systems are safe, clean, and functional, enabling productivity and comfort in our community and offices. And whereas May 13th marks World Facilities Management Day, recognizing the critical role of these professionals in managing and maintaining the physical assets of our communities. And whereas the dedicated team of maintenance personnel, groundskeepers, technicians, and facility managers ensure that heating, cooling, lighting, water, sewer, streets, signage, and buildings operate efficiently, and that our surroundings are safe, sanitary, and welcoming. And whereas the week of May 11th through the 15th, 2026, has been identified to honor these essential workers for their commitment to providing safe, sustainable, and high-quality environment that directly impacts our daily lives and overall community well-being. Now, therefore, I, Patty King, acting under the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Flagler Beach, do hereby proclaim May 11th through 15th, 2026, as Facility Maintenance Appreciation Week, and call upon all residents and employees to express their gratitude for the hard work and dedication of our facility maintenance professionals. In witness whereof, I have herein set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed this 14th day of May 2026. Thank you all.
Thank you very
for your
much.
hard
Thank
work
you so much.
and the staff.
Good evening. On behalf of our frontline facilities team, I want to sincerely thank our city commissioners, Mayor King, our city manager, Mr. Dale Martin, as well as our city engineer, Mr. Bill Freeman, for recognizing and supporting the hardworking men and women who keep our city running every day. Your acknowledgement during World Facilities Management Appreciation Week means a great deal to the teams working diligently behind the scenes to serve our community. Thank you for your leadership, encouragement, and continued support.
Yes, thank you.
Is that in there? All right, we'll move on to deletions or changes to the agenda. And Penny, your city manager.
Mr. Chairman, if we could add item under 7E, resolution to support hazard mitigation grant.
And I guess the question that I have is, I didn't see anything about, is this time sensitive? Is that what's going on?
Yes, this is to support a grant that we originally signed off on, but the state says they need a resolution authorizing me to sign it. And it's due by early next week.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Any other changes? Okay, no other changes?
Make sure I have it to read it.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's actually read through it. Did you see it? Did it come through an email or something? Because I didn't see it. Which? That was today? Okay. That would be why I didn't see it. Got it. Any other changes? All right. Is everybody good with that? 7E? Okay. Move on to public comment. These are items that are not on the agenda. Citizens are encouraged to speak. However, comments should be limited to 3 minutes. And if you can, please state your name and address to start with for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tony Roaring, 1800 block of South Central. East side of South Central, just behind Plaza. I noticed today there are the little flags for utilities, utility spotting in that lot. And I was just curious if you guys knew what was going on. Usually those flags mean they're going to be digging something up and they're right along the roadway. So that was basically it, just wondering what was going on over there. Thank you.
We'll get you that answer. Anyone else for public comment?
Good evening, Commission. For the record, my name is Greg Huntington. I'm a senior account executive for WM, aka Waste Management. Our disposal facility is located in Flagler County at 1841 North State Road, Bunnell, Florida, 32110. I'm actually a part of our Jacksonville operations, but I decided to come down here tonight just for two reasons. First and foremost, just to say thank you for the partnership that we share with the city in providing you critical environmental services. Those services are just lines of disposal, I believe MSW and yard debris. In that contract, the last time I was here actually at the end of last year, this city commission so graciously granted us a price increase, and so we're thankful for that. That disposal agreement will be ending at the end of this year. I've already engaged with the city manager to potentially look at doing an extension of that agreement. I think we represent probably the closest disposal facility to the city. There being in Bunnell, I think your next closest disposal facility would be the Volusia County landfill. And typically, when we engage municipalities that we already have a contract in place, in order to achieve a contract extension, we typically will do a lower rate than if it went out to bid. So just those two things. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Lepak. I was here, I think, beginning of fourth quarter last year, along with my partner Tony Stewart, to present an alternative to the, I guess, the deal on the Ocean Palm Golf Course. I'm just here to reiterate that that deal is still good. It's a cash offer. I'll escrow money next week, show proof of funds tomorrow. It's my understanding that this gentleman who's the current leasee is looking for yet another extension. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but you do have a cash offer on the table, and we would love to discuss that further with you. I brought the same information that we dropped off before. There was a couple different options, one of which was to enter into a lease agreement and a profit share on that. I don't think we're interested in that anymore, but we will write you a check and buy the property tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hey, how you doing? Tony Stewart, 86 Signet. A couple weeks ago, I spoke to you about vehicle tracking. I find that to be just a low-hanging fruit, right? So I got some information, went through a few weeks of data just to put it together for you guys. If you break it down, which I'm happy to send you some emails, this is just very low-hanging fruit for the administration team to look at. Over the period of that 5-day period, it looks like, from what I see, you know, I live near Publix, so I see a lot of vehicles, 7-Eleven, you know, so on. So I just started looking at that data. What it kind of stood out to me is that it runs down to be about 37.5% of each day is not being worked. I understand everyone is, you know, should take some breaks and so on. However, that annualizes out to about $125,000, which is a little more than 2 FTEs. So again, just reiterating, these are easy things for management to look at and look for some efficiencies in our facilities. Thank you.
Tony, just for clarity, you said 37.5%
of the day.
% of the day.
Yep.
And that's based off vehicle tracking?
Yeah, vehicle tracking. Some of it, you know, I allotted some things like, you know, longer times at warehouses and things like that, because, you know, it takes time to get your trucks ready. I get that. So it could be, you know, that was pretty rough numbers. It could be worse than that, but those are very easy, confident numbers.
Got it. I just wasn't sure of the data. I wanted clarity on that.
Yeah, I'll email it to you too.
All right, thank you.
Daryl Reynolds, 322 North 11th Street. I sent some information to all of the commissioners and Dale and Drew as well about the flags, all of the flags that are out here marking. From what I understand, they're only supposed to be out 30 days. It appears, I mean, DOT never picked them up. They are an eyesore. we have Girl Scouts picking them up. I mean, when we do beach cleanup, you know, we've gotten the approval to pick them up. But I think if the city would get the contractors to be responsible for removing those things when they're supposed to, it would go a long way. I mean, it just looks, I mean, and whenever you finally do get them, they're laying on the ground, they're bent. I mean, if anyone ever tried to mow their yard or tried to mow the areas around there to get tied up in their blades. So anyway, can we get I mean, I've asked this before. I mean, can we get the contractors to clean up behind themselves? I mean, they should be doing that anyway, and whenever they come into town. The second thing is, and Eric, I pointed out to you, I brought up the storm drains. I mean, they're dangerous, and they're just, I mean, they just look terrible. I mean, they look like they're going to fall in any time. I mean, and I thought we had heard DOT was going to replace them whenever they did the construction around town. Obviously, that was not the case. There's a few of them that have a hole big enough that a foot would go in. So if anybody happens to be walking by at night and not see that, easily to trip, break a leg or something. And the third thing I'd like to know is how much money is it going to cost to get golf carts across the bridge? I mean, it's been talked about. We were out there working today. I mean, I would not want to drive a golf cart across the bridge as fast as people are going. And I know there's going to be a lane there for them or what have you, but if something flew out the back of a truck, it'd kill you. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Hello, Rich Bjorn, 255 Ocean Palm Drive. So at the last meeting, you know, I complained about not having transparency regarding the letter that Dale was supposed to write to the commission regarding the Bellahumor issues. So Mr. Cooley, at the second public comment, suggested I talk to all the different commissioners individually. That's not very transparent, but you know, that's what he suggested. So I did a contact. I've actually talked to 4 out of the 5 commissioners. Thank you very much for those who got to see us as a group. The interesting thing is, the one commissioner who didn't see me, didn't even respond to my email or my text, was Mr. Cooley himself. So that was kind of disappointing. Anyways, on the February 26th meeting, Mr. Sherman was the chair, and Patty King, Mayor King, suggested that the letter be written by Mr. Martin in reference to Mr. Bellahumor's issues. I believe that letter was never written. I got copies of letter that issues that Mr. Sherman had suggested, and it was pretty close to being the same, but not the same. So I'm still waiting to see that letter. It should be transparent, as Mr. Sherman said it was going to be transparent, open to the public. We haven't seen that, and yes, I believe it's been pushed under the carpet. Last thing, under Mr. Martin's contract, section 11.1, this committee has the opportunity to give Mr. Martin 60 days to terminate his contract without cause. I think you should seriously consider that. Just based on those issues alone and other things that's happened in the city since his tenure here. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing no one, close public comment, and we will go through our list here. So first question was about survey flags behind Pope Plaza. City manager, any idea what those are for?
No, I'm not sure what, Mr. Freeman's shaking, he has no idea what those are for, so we can find out. We'll look into it.
Okay, got it. And maybe do like a post about it, just to, you know, for knowledge, just so folks know. And if you can let me know, I see you all the time, so I'll get the answer for you. All right, next one was from Waste Management. They were looking at extending a contract. I assume that would be an upcoming agenda item or something like that?
Correct. We've just talked about we have to extend that. That's the disposal agreement for the Bunnell disposal site, which was, we had a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract once that sold from ESL to Waste Management. So that's the contract that Mr. Huntington referred is coming to a close at the end of this year.
All right, next one was just a reminder that there's other offers for the golf course. City attorney, I don't think we're in a position to move forward on.
They're second of three possible contractual extensions, but you certainly can keep other offers in the wings.
Okay, good info, thank you. And the next one is about vehicle tracking and the percentage of, I don't know if utilization would be the right term. City manager, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll look into that. We've got access to the data, so I'll review the data, see what we find.
Yeah, and if you could, I guess, when you do, if you could maybe shoot out an email, or we'll cover it next meeting or something, it'd be interesting to see how that shakes out. Because there's a lot of variables with that.
Hold on.
Oh,
How can this be transparent? Is that possible for everybody to be able to see?
All they gotta do is file a public records request. All that data is public record. You just gotta ask for it.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other one, all right, we got Mr. Reynolds' comments here. So the first thing is about more utility flags. These, I thought that in our contracts there is something about the job site being clean or stuff being left behind. Isn't that pre-built into our contracts?
I believe that is for our city contracts. I'm not sure if the flags are related to the FDOT contracts. But I've been contacted FDOT about the storm drain issues and other FDOT issues as well. So I'll add this to the list of issues to discuss with FDOT and their contracts.
Right. And I guess if there's a particular reason why they're out there, because we got folks cleaning them up, thinking they're trash. So it could be counterproductive, but if they've been out there so long, they're just kind of blowing everywhere. I mean, FDOT really needs to kind of give us a status on what to do with them and how they're going to be maintained. If it's anything like the signs and equipment, my guess is it's probably just being left. I don't know if that's from the same contractor or not, but that's definitely something to look into. Yes, sir.
There's a way to track who does locates with their name and contact info and everything. That's all on a website for locates. 611. Is it still 611?
It shows who did.
It shows who the contractor is. Call for locates and their contact information, because locates are only good for 3 months. You can extend them, but you got to call them in again. But they are it's just like littering, basically. And if a mower does hit it, it's going to sling it out there, and it could put somebody's eye out or worse. You can't just leave them laying around after the work's done. Make them accountable, whoever called them in, to clean them back up. Is that something code enforcement can track and monitor, that they're all over town?
Yeah, code enforcement can do it. Our utility crews can do it as well. But yeah, we'll look into the ones that have been left behind and find out who's responsible for calling them in.
It's a good call out, because I definitely think that's getting abused.
Absolutely is.
My gut tells me if those were left out in Palm Coast for more than one day after their term expires, that their code people will be all over it.
Mm-hmm.
So that it'd probably be good to follow suit with that. And you already talked about the storm drains, and those have, to Mr. Reynolds' point, those have fallen in before. I know the one in front of my store has fallen, and when they come out and fix them, it's patchwork. And if you look at them, they're not getting fixed well. So about every couple of years we hear this from the public. And the last time I think somebody got injured on the one that was in front of Tortugas, because that one had some major issues. And so you got the one that's on Fifth Street, you got Tortugas, and then there's another one they just seem to be really bad, and they don't get fixed correctly.
Yeah, I have photos that I've been, again, in discussion with FDOT for a variety of issues, and I'll share those photos with FDOT as well.
And the other one that Mr. Reynolds has was cost to the city to get golf carts across the bridge. I know that part of that proposed project was moving the Jersey barriers, right, for safety?
Installing New Jersey barriers,
New
but
Jersey.
at this point in time, I mean, we're still a long way away from incurring any actual cost for doing that, because FDOT hasn't given us any approval to move forward with any pilot project yet.
Now, if they give the go-ahead, I'm assuming that's going to have to come in front of us for some type of formalities.
Absolutely, because yeah, it's going to be, there will be a significant cost associated with it, and that's well beyond my spend authority, and yeah, because it's such a critical public process, that yeah, you would definitely be asked, like, okay, is it going to cost us $3 million? Then, you know, honestly, I probably wouldn't bring it back to you at that point in time. But if and when FDOT ever says, all right, you've got the green light, go ahead with your project, we will then explore the cost and come to you before anything is even close to being implemented.
So,
Has there been any kind of preliminary plan showing what's gonna happen with the golf carts once they cross the bridge to the public side?
No,
Where are they gonna go?
We haven't gotten that far yet. We're just dealing with the bridge at this point in time.
Probably won't get it, DOT, just let you know.
And I agree with you. It's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
so the chances of it happening is going down, or,
I think FDOT has some significant concerns that it would take quite a bit more effort. I mean, we're still continuing the discussion, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, they are extremely hesitant, even though it may be a protected lane. They're concerned about, you know, okay, how many people are actually going to use it? How are you going to track it? How are you going to track enforcement? And they're all legitimate questions. Again, it was just part of the discussion. But at this point in time, I'd probably say it's more 40-60 against, even 30-70 against it happening, because it's definitely a much more involved as FDOT asks the questions that FDOT should be asking.
Every car will have to be tagged, registered, and insured with a real license plate.
No, that's not what they would.
Be.
Nope. If it's
on
in
the
the
highway.
highway, nope. It would be in a segregated lane, and FDOT. That's what FDOT has indicated. As long as it's registered with the city program, which is golf carts and low-speed vehicles, it is in a protected lane, and it wouldn't have to go through the state. But their concern is that, as you indicate, okay, once you get out there, are people going to be going willy-nilly everywhere? So that's the state's concern, is you can control it in certain areas, but when you get out of that controlled environment, what is the likelihood of people abusing it or not obeying the laws?
And you're taking away from the emergency side of the
Correct.
road for access
Right.
on the travel lanes. If one car breaks down and they don't have anywhere to get off to the side a little bit, like they do now.
Well, the discussion with FDOT is there are still two travel lanes, so there will still be access if a car breaks down in one of the travel lanes. But again, those are FDOT concerns, and we're continuing the dialogue, but yeah, we're nowhere near cutting a ribbon on a golf court crossing on the bridge.
right, sounds like it's still in its infancy right now, just in concept form. All right, next one was a follow-up on the letter from Commissioner Bellhumer. And I didn't know if you all had thoughts about this. So Richard had a question about, and I want to make sure we're only talking about one letter. Richard, is it just the one letter? Because you mentioned another one. Here, come on up. I just want to make sure we have clarity on this.
So, according to information I have, then Chair Sherman actually had his own letter of questions for Mr. Martin,
Mhm.
and then Mr. Bellhumer came up with a separate letter with a lot of those issues being very similar, but he also had some issues not on Mr. Sherman's letter, such as the organizational chart. So they were different in some ways. So it's Mr. Bellihammer's letter that I'm referencing. Thank you.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you for the clarity. Proposed action on that one? I mean, Mr. Santori?
I mean, for an action, there's a couple of items that I've discussed with Mr. Martin on there, and I haven't felt the need to bring it to a workshop, but if the commission would like to do so, I will go forward with it too.
Any other thoughts on that, Mr. Sherman?
I was just going to say, transparency is always key with me, so if you could provide a written response, put it out there for public record for inquiring parties to have. If the appetite is for a workshop, we can have a workshop as well, but I think, maybe just a written response into the inquiry from then Commissioner Belhumer to provide that for the general public's knowledge is where my head's at with that.
So he did provide a response to Commissioner Bellinger's, but not your
No,
letter, right?
mine had response.
The other way
Yeah.
around. Okay. It's been a while since I looked at it. All right. City manager, you good with that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Yeah, if you could do that and then put it out there, send it out to us and everything, that would be helpful. So it was your letter that got the written response?
There were some responses, yeah.
But not Rick's?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then they met, there was talk about the city manager's contract, 60 days. And that would be something that, particular, commissioners, if you have a feeling in a certain way, you can bring it up under commission comments. Anything on public comments before we move on? Everybody good? Okay. All right, we're rolling the consent agenda. We have minutes of April 23rd, and then there's a change to the contract for American Janitorial 3% increase. Does anybody want to pull anything? No need to pull it? All right, then I'll look for a motion.
Make a motion we approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll open this up public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. This does not require a roll call. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Move on to 7A. Planning and Architectural Review Board members. So we have a new list. So first things first, Penny, you want to intro this?
You have 5 applicants. 2 are not able to be here tonight, Mr. Ware and Mr. McKitka. And I believe the others are here if you'd like to give them a brief review.
Penny, 2, 3.
Hold on,
You said 5 applicants, but I'm showing 6 on our list here.
maybe there's 6.
Okay, so I just want to make sure 6 is the accurate number, right? Okay.
Yes, 6.
There's 6 on my ballot, I know that.
Yeah.
There are 6,
I mean,
yes.
it's changed a little bit. There was less the last time I looked at this. All right, we'll just go through this in order. Is Carlos Aragon here? All right, come on up, Carlos, if you can. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings your interest to join the PAR board.
My name is Carlos Aragon, and I live in South Flagler Beach. I'm semi-retired. I'm a licensed Florida home inspector, and I just want to keep active, so I figured I'd volunteer for something.
All right, and from up here, do we have any questions for Mr. Aragon? Am I saying your name right?
Aragon, yes.
Aragon.
Yeah.
Okay. No questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Rick Belhumer, are you here? You already know the drill. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had 2 meetings so far. Now I've got to reapply. Yeah, it's just, was on the par board before. That's how I worked my way up the ladder, by volunteering for different things. Very well versed on the land development code, responsible for building over a dozen homes myself in the city. So, I think it'd be a good fit to stay on the par board.
All right. And any questions for Mr. Bell? All right, thank you. Paul McKitka is not able to make this. He did send me an email letting me know that he's still interested, though. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. But I think he's out of town on business or something like that. Sean Scarf. Is Sean here? Okay. Everybody has his info, though. Y'all got his info, right? Okay. That way you can still consider it. I think I've seen Lisa out. Yep. Lisa Smith, come on up. And if you could let us know why you're still interested in more punishment.
And more punishment. Well, Lisa Smith, 311 North 11th Street. This is my 26th year as a resident of Flagler Beach. It's my town. I live here. I work here. I raise my kids here. You guys have my application, but I am just completed my first 3 years, I think, on the par board. I enjoy it. I'd like the opportunity to continue. My work background is in accounting and construction management, permitting for all the municipalities in Flagler County, lots of Flagler Beach permits, St. Johns River Water Management, and DOT. I also serve as the treasurer for the Flagler County Association of Realtors. That's my spiel.
All right. Any questions for Mrs. Smith? All right. Thank you. All right. Mr. Ware is not able to attend. Everybody has his information, correct? All right. So if y'all could take a minute to fill these sheets out. Number 1 would be the highest score all the way down to number 6. And then what we'll do is we'll move on with business, and then we'll announce that once he gets everything all tallied up.
Would you like us to write our name on top just before we forget?
Well, you're filling out through the column of your name, so then you don't have to.
Unless you're being sneaky. Canada. So hard in putting it on there. We'll move on to, well, Penny's tallying that up. Resolution 2026-37. Drew?
Resolution 2026-37, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, approving an application to the Florida Inland Navigation District Waterways Assistance Program for improvements to Custer Park, providing for conflict and providing for an effective date.
All right, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is Mr. O'Brien. Yes, he is. This is an application that former Commissioner Bryan championed, along with fine Commissioner Randy Stapleford, and it actually follows along with the initial effort from the Parks Ad Hoc Committee as to improvements at Custer Park, which is located on the opposite side of the river, directly across from the boat launch. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, it's actually 3 separate parcels, all owned by the city. So Mr. Bryan has championed a kayak launch and other improvements to the park, clean up the shoreline, make it a little more accessible to people for fishing, for swimming, wading, add more picnic tables, and install the kayak launch. So we submitted the application. It was an incomplete application, but fine. Their process is once you submit it, they did their technical review. They wrote back to us and let us know that, okay, here's the things that you have to do. So I've added Mr. Smith's attestation that it is city-owned property, and one of the other requirements is I need a resolution from you actually supporting the grant. So that's before you as well. So I don't know if you'd like to have former Commissioner Bryan offer any of his comments, but this is due back to the state on May 18th. Commissioner Santori did point out math error on what is in your packet, I believe page 53. 53. I do have some revised numbers. It is for a $50,000 project, $25,000 to come from the state and $25,000 from the city. Once I start reviewing what kayak launches cost, they're not quite as pricey as was originally put into the grant. But it still comes at $50,000 a kayak launch. The revised numbers are roughly $20,000, and we'll then use $25,000 for the other park amenities. So the total estimated cost, $5,000 for survey design, $20,000 for kayak launch equipment, $25,000 for park amenities, still split exactly 50-50 between the city and Find. If the grant is awarded, the grant cycle is such that this money would be appropriated in next year's budget.
All right, Mr. Bryan.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, and City Manager and City Attorney. Thank you so much for considering this resolution. I really appreciate you guys listening to this. I first started talking to the folks at the Florida Inland Navigation District when they had their annual meeting here not too long ago. It was about 6 months ago. And they were telling us about how much money was available, and we're also considering some of the things we're doing on the parks. Custer Park, if you haven't visited, it's property that was actually donated to the city many years ago, probably 25 or 30 years ago. And it's been maintained by the city in that they've been maintaining the lawn and cutting the grass and this kind of thing here. But there are a lot of things that need to be done to the park in order to make it safe and also make it more user-friendly. What we've noticed is that there's a lot of younger families that have actually moved onto Lambert and Palm Drive, so there are a lot of kids that are actually playing in the park. There are a lot of people that are actually launching their kayak as well as sculling boats there in the morning as well as in the evening. When I was just on my way over here, there was 2 people out there fishing. There's some mangroves on the water edge as well as a lot of Brazilian peppers. I spoke to some contractors. I've had them coming out giving us estimates on actually mitigating the Brazilian peppers. The mangroves are a different story. So I've been in contact with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I talked to them this morning. So we may probably need a permit. I'm in the process of filling that permit out as well so that we can have everything in line if we do have to trim some of the mangroves. I learned a lot about mangroves as far as how much you can trim them and each year how much is required in order to trim them down so that they actually can stay alive, and then also those that are on the ground level. The area that's right there on the parking where people actually park, that's an area, I put that in there because the asphalt itself that belongs to the city is actually eroding because where the cars park, it's not wide enough for a vehicle to actually get off of the pavement totally. So what happens is when they go off of the pavement, they're actually cracking and eroding the asphalt. So one of the contractors that came out today had suggested actually moving the post over just a little bit and putting some rock or something in there to make it a better parking area, and also it would help to maintain the city's street there so they don't have to continue to repair that as well. There's a lot of work that's gone into it, and I really thank everyone that's been helping out. I've learned a lot about grants, especially with DEP, and there are a lot of hoops to jump through, but they're also very helpful. So it is an amenity that I think everyone would be able to use. It's right on the intercoastal. And talking to the folks at the Department of the Environmental Protection as well as FIND, Florida Inland Navigation District, I know the executive director, I know the deputy director, and I know all of the commissioners. So they all thought this was a great project for them to embark on because it's right on the intercoastal. It's right there by the no-wake zone. It looks out into the marsh area. The last thing is the picnic tables. They're concrete. They're sinking down into the ground. So the other thing was I went up to some of the county parks, and they actually had the picnic table sitting on some concrete plats, if you will, prevent them from going down into the ground. I also talked to the DEP as well as in the fine about some of the educational components. Some of the parks in the county and the city actually have posts out there with QR codes. And my wife and I went out there the other day, and you can actually scan them, and you can get all kinds of information about the different kinds of species that are in the intercoastal. You can get information about the manatees, about some of the kayaking tours that you can take. So a lot of information you can get just from the QR code, but that's the educational component because you also learn something about the manatees, the different species of fish that you can catch there, as well as the mangroves, how to protect them. So there's a lot of educational things that can be done there as well. So I know it's long-winded, and I got a lot of stuff here, but it's really a lot of backup in order to support the grant. And it seems like a lot of money, but I think it's going to save the city a lot of money in the long run, and also provide a nice amenity for the residents of Flagler Beach. And we're starting to get a lot more. So that's why I think we see more people coming to this particular area in order to recreate and enjoy the intercoastal. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions for Mr. Bryant?
Ken, isn't there used to be a boat ramp there a long time ago?
Yeah. I actually had a contractor out today, and we walked around in the bushes. I don't like snakes, so I let him walk. But yes, there used to be a boat ramp there, and I talked to one of the residents that lives right across the street. He grew up right there in that house, and he said they used to launch their boat right there in that area. It's grown up with a lot of underbrush and a lot of trees. There's some palm trees there that are actually hollowed out. So he looked at taking out some of those palm trees so they don't actually fall on the highway or something. But yes, there's some coquina rock that are actually lining the area there. So the contractor actually contacted the city today about getting a survey, so we'll work on getting that so we'll know exactly where it is. But there used to be a boat ramp there. I would not suspect there would continue to be a boat ramp, but it would be a very good area for people to actually launch their smaller boats or kayaks or things like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You could use it for the kayak launch there.
Right.
And the
I'm having when I had my jet
boats that go in there too, you said?
I'm sorry?
Cruising boats, you said?
Yeah, not the sculling boats.
Sculling boats.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that scull right there on the intercoastal every morning. There's about 8 or 10 people that scull right there every morning. So that would be a great amenity for them. And I talked to some of the guys there, and they said, yeah, that would be absolutely awesome if we had a better place here to actually launch our boats and all. But yeah, there's an area there, and we were looking at that this afternoon. And like I said, I'm going to get the survey. I looked at the Google Maps and looked at some of the locations, but we have to get a survey in order to determine exactly where all the locations are.
Mr. Sprouts.
Yeah, Commissioner Bryant, I really appreciate your efforts on this project. When I moved here about 20 years ago, that was a destination that my daughter would insist on going to, and it was in much better shape then. And we also used it. We had on top of my vehicle drive the kayak over there, and we'd go in at that time. But I think it's a great location. I know what it looked like when it was in much better shape, and I'd love to see it that way again. Plus, it appears we're going to be having a lot of new population on that side of the bridge, and so I think it'd be a great idea. So I appreciate your effort.
Appreciate it. The pavilions, I mean, we're trying to work those into the budget as well, because there are 2 picnic tables there, and we all know that the sun gets awfully hot. And I've seen families out there trying to use that area, putting up umbrellas or tents or something like that. So it would be great if we could add that in too. So we just kind of work with that.
In my understanding, and Mr. Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, that park used to have what was the largest slide in the city there. And that was a pretty big draw back in the day when that slide was there. Is that part of what is the equipment going back? Because that was a big deal for the kids back in the day.
We looked at that. When I say we, I'm talking about some of the folks in the community, but I know what park equipment costs based on what you're going to be cutting the ribbon for tomorrow. So I'm thinking that maybe that's the next grant that we would look at getting, is something like that. Because, I mean, I saw little girls out there yesterday. I mean, they're just having a ball, and the kids, and they got balls and everything out there. So that would be a great thing if we could add that.
It'd be nice to see the infamous slide make a return. It was
my time, but yeah,
Again, Mr. Bryan's been very helpful, saying what amenities are and stuff like that, so it's been a pleasure working with him and get this grant application forward defined.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do my best to get it in, I will get it in. It's due by Monday evening, so.
Well, I'll be able to, we can work
We'll
together
get it
and I'll
done.
send it.
Yeah, we're gonna get it done.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Bryan while he's up?
The post and the rope that's there now, the double rope.
Right.
I mean, the city owns all three of those parcels right there. What, can we go ahead and move those posts and rope over to widen it? Because you're right, in case we get off the road and they're hitting the rope.
That's up, the city engineer and I'm not gonna do it on my own, obviously, but I'm working very close with the city. But that's something that we could do, and I think it would really enhance the area. I mean, I was looking at the asphalt today, and you got chunks like this because when trucks and cars run off, they
It'll
hit
break
it.
it off.
And there's also a utility access panel there for the cable company that is busted, that I think we need to contact them and get them to fix that too, because the hole is about 2.5 feet long.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Bryan while he's up here? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mayor. City.
All right, so for discussion on this, Mr. Santori? Nothing? Mayor?
Just needs to happen.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yeah, again, thanks to Commissioner Bryan for getting this done. I guess my big concern here is not to rain on the parade of this great project. I just want to make sure we have a maintenance plan in place to ensure that all this money that's being spent, it continues to, be maintained. Because I've taken my daughter over there on a few occasions, and the grass was up to my ankles, and so she wanted to go swing on the swing over there, and there's anthills everywhere and things like that. So I'd really like to see, some sort of plan in place that we know we're going to plan to maintain this, shiny new piece of metal that we're going to have over there, and make sure that it's not, something that's ugly, that, not maintained, and the neighbors are having to look at that as well. So, I'm all for it. I just want to make sure we maintain it as well.
I think with the extra staff that you've added this year, which we filled, that we will now have the manpower and equipment to tend to our parks as you desire them to be.
Feedback I have for this is along those same lines. I want to make sure that we're going to be able to maintain it, but also I get we're moving in phases, but what I would like to see is you like the fire and forget missions and stuff and looking at different angles. I know that Mr. Belchie has sought out different ways to help with the city. He's reached out numerous times to us, to the city manager, said, what can I help with? What can we do? He's mentioned Veterans Park. But this particular park he has direct benefit from. It's on that side of the intercoastal, and there would be probably a lot of folks who would jog there, bike there, etc. I think we should look at, speaking with him about maybe taking this a step further and capture some of those things that we're going to be in upcoming phases. For instance, if we're going to make room for cars, let's get the gravel with the little paver bricks down that we're doing in the parking lots, and simple things like that, and really investing in the park. I think that we have the ability to capture that with Mr. Belchie here, because that will affect the citizens that are going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. Reach out to Mr. Belchie. He has provided some funding for Veterans Park, but I'll make the comment to him about the fact that this is on that side of the river and would be more available to the residents of Randa Bay and Summertown on that side of the river. So might as well ask.
Right, and I believe that'll be, one of the only parks minus, what he agreed to in, the contract. But none of those will be on the intercoastal. This one is, which is very desirable. So, food for thought. Further discussion before I open this up to public comment? All right, we'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? None? All right, we'll close public comment. This is a resolution. Penny, if you call the roll.
We don't have a motion yet.
Oh, we didn't do a motion yet?
Yeah.
I just assumed we were going to have a motion on it.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-37.
36 or 37?
37, yes.
okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second now. So Penny, if you call the roll.
Turn my mic off. Commissioner Santori?
Yes to motion?
Commissioner Spradley?
Yes to the motion.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes to the motion. Motion passes unanimous. Item C, Resolution 2026-36. Drew?
Resolution 2026-36, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, approving a proposal from Moffitt and Nichol to complete survey, design, and permitting activities in support of the city's beach walk project in an amount not to exceed $178,100, providing for conflict and providing for an effective date.
All right, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is another bite at the apple for the beach walk project, but I can demonstrate, or I tried to demonstrate in the staff report, that the funding that is available will cover the costs of the project, modified on a slightly smaller basis. As you have already budgeted $750,000 for this project, that was our intended match. That is included in the current budget. That was the intended match for the Tourist Development Council grant, which, due to the timing, we had to forego that grant. And we returned, even though we never got any money, we told the county that we were not going to be able to meet the grant conditions. But we still have that $750,000 budgeted this year. Mr. Edgar Fernandez, the city lobbyist, and I have been working to reallocate some of the money that the state has provided for the completion of the pier. The state, through the efforts of the City Commission and Mr. Fernandez, gave us a line item in the state budget of $4.5 million for the pier completion. The way the pier project funding breaks down is once it's completed and the costs are finalized, FEMA pays 75%, the state pays 12.5%, and the remaining 12.5% is the city's obligation. That $4.5 million is to cover the city's 12.5% obligation. The contract for the pier was awarded for a little over $14 million. If you make the assumption that the final project cost of the pier will be $16 million, mainly because that's an easier number to manage for this, 12.5% of $16 million is $2 million. That leaves $2.5 million remaining from the state appropriation. As this current state appropriation reads, if we do not use any portion of that $4.5 million related to the pier, that money has to be returned to the state. So Mr. Fernandez and I have been working with the sponsors of that original bill to approach DEP, because the money is funded through DEP, to have that money repurposed for the beach walk project, which we have tied to the pier. So we're about 90% of the way there getting that. We have the general preliminary concurrence of the sponsor. So what actually has to happen is you present this to the sponsor. The sponsor then approaches the director of DEP. DEP then signs off, or then considers signing off, reallocating that extra $2.5 million, assuming the pier is not going to cost anything more than $16 million, reassigns that $2.5 million and gets rescoped that we can use for the beach walk project. Based upon the numbers that Mr. Perdomo has provided, and what originally led us to pause was the fact that DEP requires us to rebuild the dune between 3rd and 4th Street. We have to build the dune to the Corps of Engineers standard that only went as far north as South 6th Street. North of South 6th Street, it was a county project, and the dune was not established to the extent that the Corps did. We have to meet the Corps' template between 3rd and 4th Street. Mr. Perdomo's estimate of that is approximately $300,000 because you'll have to truck the sand in. I am trying to work with the county to see, because the county is getting to start Reach 2, is there a way that they could do a bid additive to have the sand dredged and at least stored someplace, or can we do that? The county might be a little farther ahead in their process than we're ready to go at this point in time. So if you take the roughly $180,000 that is in the Moffitt-Nichol proposal, add the $300,000 for the dune reconstruction, and then you add the 1.4 million for the original concept of phase one, which was rebuilding, modernizing, and reconfiguring the facilities under the A-frame, the bathrooms, the radio station, and what was originally the bait shop, but we've contemplated relocating the ocean rescue to that location. That's phase one. Phase two is a promenade at 1.3 million. So when you add all those numbers together, the 750 that the city currently is budgeted, plus the 2.5 million that it would likely be available for the state, those two figures cover cost of the dune, phase one, and phase two of the beach walk project. The original phase three was to replace the boardwalk. That is now under consideration to be part of the Sun Trail to be built at FDOT cost or at a cost share program with the city. One of the concerns voiced by the commission when we backed off of the beach walk due to the dune reconstruction was, is this going to be continued construction and impact the area? The tentative schedule from Mr. Perdomo is that anticipate the pier being completed in the first quarter of next year. In the second quarter, we can construct the dune. DEP then requires you to monitor and do absolutely nothing for one whole year. So there will be no construction in that area from the second quarter of 2027, likely into the third quarter, maybe even the fourth quarter of 2028. Then, by the time you get the permits, you're looking at starting construction on phase one and phase two of the promenade in last quarter of 2028 or the first quarter of 2029. So there would be no construction between the middle of 2027 when the dune is built to the beginning of 2029. A key component that I incorporated into the resolution is that if for some reason we are not successful in getting that $2.5 million appropriately reallocated, that we will immediately cease the efforts that are part of the proposal that is presented to you tonight. So we would stop moving forward on that project. So the whole $180,000 wouldn't be expended. If it only takes 2 months, then we'll stop after 2 months, but otherwise we keep the process moving. I expect that the survey, design, and permitting could be completed by the end of this calendar year, which then would allow us to move forward with the dune construction early next year.
All right, questions for the city manager. Commissioner Spradley.
Mr. Martin, if I understand it correctly, then what we're talking about basically is finding a way to use the possibility of $2.5 million that may come our way to enhance the area around the pier, along with money that we've already budgeted, as opposed to giving that money back to the state.
In general, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The big picture is that that's a way that we can capture those funds and use those funds in a manner that the state would permit, and at the same time we get the boardwalk improvement that we have wanted to do, but to this point have not been able to do. That's what it sounds like. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sherman.
Yeah, just had a couple follow-up questions as well. So, you mentioned first the dune construction, and I'm a little hung up on that, but I want to make sure, you mentioned the Army Corps project stopped at South 6th Street, and then the county gifted the dunes that were obviously not up to the Corps standards. So again, I'm not an engineer, and I don't know if somebody here can answer this, but so we're going to have one block between 4th and 6th that's not going to be up to the standard. Is that going to be an issue?
We will approach the state, yes. So there will be from South 6th Street to South 4th Street coming north, that will continue to be the county design dune. Part of our efforts at the state level are, does that make sense? Because why should the city, on our own dime, build that part of the dune, which there's no reason for us to do that as part of the beach walk project. So there are additional funds that are available, or talking to FDOT and DEP to see, hey, if we're going to be building the dune from 3rd to 4th, do you, the state, want to build the dune to the Corps standard from 4th to 6th? But right now, we're just under the obligation of 3rd to 4th because that's where the promenade is scheduled to go.
Okay, and then my second question is, so, not to sound pessimistic here, but there's no guarantee, with this money that I know Edgar's doing his due diligence and you're doing your due diligence, which is greatly appreciated. But basically, if we don't get this, we're just going to have a strong, if we go forward with the, $180,000 for Mr. Perdomo to go forward with the design, and then another $300,000, which I'm okay with. We basically will just have a rebuilt dune if this doesn't go forward, correct?
I guess I wouldn't even suggest, if the state doesn't give us the money, I would not advocate for spending the money to rebuild the dune.
Okay, so you just say, okay, we'll stop at the 180,000.
We may not even get to the 180,000 maximum, to be honest with you. If the state gives us a ruling within the next 2 or 3 months, and Mr. Perdomo was only 25% into that 180,000, we pull the plug.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, questions for city manager?
Got
Mr.
it.
Cunningham.
Can't remember how long ago it was, but we were talking about where the restroom building is. We were going to gut it and redo the whole inside so we didn't have to do any dune reconstruction, because those pilings under that bathroom building, there's nothing wrong with them at all. So we wouldn't have to tear the whole building down, wouldn't have to rebuild the dune in that whole process. Actually, we should be doing it right now so it could be done as soon as the pier is done.
The decision of the commission at the time was to move forward with the new pilings. If we were going to do that project, move forward. This is an opportunity, and again, that's the fallback option. If you want to redo, so the thing is if we don't expand, the whole purpose of the $2.5 million is in support of the beach walk project. So if we don't do the beach walk project, the likelihood is we will lose that $2.5 million. But if you go forward with renovating in place the current aspect, you're not going to have, their bathrooms aren't going to be larger as was originally planned under the beach walk project, the radio station, and the Ocean Rescue headquarters. So this is a last opportunity to say, all right, do we want to go forward with the beach walk? With the original conceived plans that had 10 or 12 commodes in both the men and women's bathroom, an enlarged bait shop component, which was going to be repurposed for Ocean Rescue, and a larger radio station.
I'm going
There's two options.
Look at the old ones, because I think what I'm talking about was after what you were talking about with the concrete pilings. It was, I'll search for it.
There was a discussion.
It was discussed, it was saying, no, leave the pilings, and then when it came back again, that's when the consensus was to replace them with concrete.
That was because the engineer said they were going to settle at different rates.
About the expense, if one did go bad, you'd have to pull it out, and
The building, to rebuild the building on the old pilings didn't make sense because the useful life for the pilings could be 2 years or it could be 10 years. But the useful life of the building would be beyond 25.
Yeah.
So the conversation we then had was, why build a new structure on old pilings? So we decided at that point that it only made sense to move forward with the new concrete pilings.
Yeah, I remember that discussion. Well, this is kind of like a fork in the road moment. Like, we're either going to expand the building with the new pilings, or we would be looking at redoing the existing building with the existing pilings.
Well, the whole idea is we wouldn't have to bring in more sand.
Right.
We were going to have to put in a whole bunch more sand to do new building and new pilings and all that.
And I think
trying
that's,
to speed things up.
I think that is the fork in the road you're at this point is, do we want to continue with the option, we still have off-ramps with, at no more money than you currently have budgeted with the 750 and the 2.5 million. If that doesn't work, if we don't get the 2.5 million, we can always fall back to repurposing what we have here now.
Right. Did you have any other questions for him?
That's it.
All right, so the questions I got, and this is a good segue because you were talking money, is I'm trying to wrap my head around the government math side of it, about what true cost is going to be. So phase 1 and 2 are going to cost how much?
The estimate from Mr. Perdome was 2.7 million, 1.4 and 1.3.
1.4 and 1.3. And then, so you got 2.7, then you have the 300,000 for
the dune.
So that basically gets you to 3 mil. Okay.
And don't forget the 180. Please add the 180 of the proposal.
Right. Yeah. That 2.5 estimated, that 2.5 that's going to be left over from the pier, that is a grant. Is there, it's not a loan, right? It's a grant? Are we going to have to pay it back?
It's a straight legislative line item appropriation that the state awarded us for pier construction.
Not matching?
Not matching.
This is free money?
Free money.
Okay. And the 750 we already had budgeted because we planned to move
that was our
forward.
match of the TDC grant.
So that puts us to cover the cost of that.
You're a whopping $70,000 to the good, which is a thin margin,
right?
Admittedly,
it is, but it's a large project that we can get done at true cost to taxpayers because we're not. I'm talking local taxpayers, not our FEMA and state. But this project would be paid for the vast majority of by FEMA and state. If that's the case, and then we would be using the 750 we already had budgeted for the project anyway.
To be very clear, there's no FEMA money involved in this. FEMA.
What was the first amount?
That's 75%. The 75% is for the pier itself, and we cannot even hint that we are mixing the formal FEMA project. FEMA has approved the reconstruction of the pier, so we are not mixing any FEMA dollars with the pier. This money is from state and state only and the local city contribution.
Okay. But FEMA was covering the pier.
FEMA and the state are covering the pier. Correct.
Okay, you threw me off with that because I was like, wait a second.
If FEMA will be all over you if they think that you're trying to slip costs into the pier project that are not related to the original scope of the reconstruction of the pier.
Got it. And so if something happens and this 2.5 million is not available, this goes back on the shelf. Is that what you're saying?
To the plan that Commissioner Cunningham and all of you talked about.
Existing footprint.
Using the same footprint, correct. Without the promenade, and so it's just a footprint of the A-frame.
All right. And so we will know this at what point?
Probably 4 to 6 months at the latest.
From now?
From now. I mean, I got the letter that Mr. Fernandez and I have been drafting on to go from the sponsor, which is Senator Trudeau, to the director of DEP asking for this to be repurposed.
And then if we don't move forward, we're not actually out the 178 because we still have a design and a viable project. We're just not moving forward with it because we don't have the money. We can go out and try to get it.
If it turns out that we don't get the 2.5, I will come back to you if you want to design a dune.
Well, in order to move forward with this at any point in the future, we got to have a dune and we got to have a design.
No, I think I think Commissioner Cunningham was bringing that point up, that if you're going to operate under the same footprint, you do not need to rebuild the dune.
Right, but I'm talking about the promenade.
Promenade, we're going to have a dune,
right,
one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right. And now, there are dune, and the director of DEP mentioned to Mr. Fernandez and myself that there are dune construction grants that are available on a 50-50 match. So if we can secure one of those, that estimated $300,000 cost may actually be reduced.
Right, but basically what I was trying to get at is the risk of this is not a very high risk because we still end up at the end of the day with a design that could be used in the future, right?
Correct. If you want to spend that money, or in theory you can wait for the Corps of Engineers to do the design. But you're right. We could have something on the shelf
Yeah, if a
for
grant,
beach renourishment.
if there's a grant out there somewhere for doing something like that, then we already have that ready to go, and we could do the dune and, you know, do the expansion. It could be, you know, an economic grant. Who knows what's coming? So our exposure to this is pretty low. But I wanted to clear the air on that, because when you get into like this whole government math of this grant, and if this doesn't work, then it's going to move over here, it gets a little murky, and I want to just clear it up for the citizens that are tuned into this. All right, any comments? Commissioner Santori.
So, Mr. Martin, so what I'm hearing here is, 25% of the 180,000, we're at risk of possibly in the 40,000 range if this project fails.
Correct. If we get word that the DEP is not going to repurpose the money, we stop Mr. Perdomo and his, he may have completed the survey, but he's into design. At some point, we say no, unless perhaps, as Commissioner Cooley is saying, if you still want to go forward with the $180,000 so that we have something on the shelf, I'll bring that back to you at that point.
All right, that'll be another decision point there.
I don't see where we can go wrong with this, given the numbers, the math, the way everything is presented today. The worst that can happen is we have a project design and scope for future. We're not committing to the dune, we're not committing to anything other than just moving forward with the design part, given all the variables.
Or, even if you don't want to move forward with that design, you take the money that we budgeted for this, at whatever point it stops, and roll it into what Commissioner Cunningham was talking about.
Exactly.
And that's you stay within the footprint and take this money and put that into that.
Right.
So,
we have nothing to lose at this point by committing to this contract, is my point.
Other thoughts? Commissioner Spradley?
No, I agree. It's a great way to plan for the potential excess from the pier and accomplish a project that we've been wanting to do all along. And if we choose not to, then we're risking, the risk there is turning back $2.5 million back to the state. So to me, it sounds like on the risk analysis, this is the way to go.
So we'll know 4 to 6 months, yes or no for the $2.5 million. And if we get a no, then how soon can we start doing the renovations of the existing facility?
I'd have to get a proposal from Mr. Perdomo to find out what that is.
It'd be nice for it to be done at the same time the pier's done, that's for sure. Be a big grand opening.
Yeah, that would be a disappointment. We're going to have this great pier with those restrooms. If you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-36.
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. Further discussion before I open this up public comment? Let's open this up public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Mr. Stewart.
Hey, how are you guys doing? So I don't know a lot about construction. I know a little bit. The design of a promenade will not take you 6 months. It will not take you 3 months. It will not take you 2 months. So I actually look at it as assessment of wasting money, because as soon as you spend it, he's going to spend it. It'll be done. Yeah, you'll have a plan. But as soon as the Florida changes our codes next year, it'll no longer be a good plan. So you'll have to go back to the drawing board. So I would just reconsider spending money, hold out. If they decide they want to let us have the 2.5, spend it. Thank you.
Mark M. Hope, 261 Ocean Palm Drive, beautiful Flagler Beach, Florida. I'll follow with that with limited construction background, but I do have quite a bit of background of living on a sand island. I just curious about this dune building for $300,000, how long that's going to last. Is there any kind of guarantees you get from these dune building companies? Because I really would like the job of being a dune builder. After the Corps of Engineers, I hear somebody else would like to join me, but after the Corps of Engineers major project, I'm telling you, like 2 or 3 weeks after that, we had a big northeaster, they had to come in down and haul in, I don't know how many more, Mr. Martin would probably know more than me, but whatever, that from the tower south all the way down, they had passed over, they took out all the plants that they put in, you know, after all this big rigor mill, they took all that out, and they had to literally go on the beach and truck in all the sand. Are you guys aware of this? If you're not, that's what they did, and I don't know, that's probably another few $1 million. If it was me, there's got to be a way where you can do the Pier project without having to truck in the sand or rebuild the dunes. And you know, again, I don't know that much about it. It's just a question. How long is the guarantee of a dune? Okay, thank you.
Richard on 255 Ocean Pond Drive, and I just want to agree with what Mr. Stewart said, or part of what he said anyways. I'm not sure what Florida laws are. I know up my way, stamp plans have a shelf life, so if you're banking on having a plan that has a shelf life, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure up in Massachusetts, a 5-year life. After 5 years, you're not really going back to ground zero, but you resubmit the plans for review, and you basically go through all the, you know, the work to reinstate those plans. So that's my only comment. I think you shouldn't bank too much on having plans for a long period of time. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? I see no one will close public comment. City Manager, Mr. Stewart brought up a fair point. Is this something we need to do right now? Like, for instance, do we run a risk of something happening if we decide to move forward with this at the 4 to 6 month period?
I think I need to clarify that the design as part of the proposal in front of you is for the design of the dune, not the design of the A-frame or the promenade. Remember, we had to stop that at the 30% level because the DEP said we will not even consider your 30% drawings until you build the dune and we get it permitted. So this is only for the design of the dune. The design has not been completed for the balance of the A-frame phase 1 or the promenade phase 2. This is for surveying for the dune, designing the dune, which will mimic the Corps of Engineer design, so it shouldn't involve a lot of work on that, and then it's for the permitting associated to the dune. So we're not talking anything at all about design of the beach walk project, just the dune.
Got it. And then Mr. Imhoff brought up, now I know dunes, they're not guaranteed with the contractors we're using. The Corps has a different style of guarantee. They have that 50-year plan in place. But, so let's say you rebuild the dune, right? And then it takes damage within that 1 year period it's supposed to be sitting. Do you then go back to like step 1 and start over, and then you have to rebuild it again and let it sit a year? Or like, how does that work?
I can't answer that. I can get an answer from Mr. Perdomo or from DEP on that.
Yeah.
But the dune to the south that Mr. Imhoff talked about was actually not related to the Corps of Engineer project. The Corps of Engineer project started at about 28th Street and came north.
You're talking about the DOT
that
project.
was the FDOT Secant Wall project. So again, when they were building the Secant walls, they weren't putting dunes in, they were protecting the Secant wall. So 2 different projects. Fully understand that, yes, after the nor'easter that came in, it did have some impacts on that project, but that project was separate and apart from the Corps project that they co-sponsored with the county.
Right. Just for clarity, I would assume that there's nothing in the industry as far as dune guarantees outside of the Corps, which comes at a cost. It's a 50-year, not necessarily guarantee, but it's we'll call it a service plan, so to speak, for lack of a better term. But that also comes at a cost, but it's also better than doing it from scratch whenever it's needed.
Yeah, the Corps, again, the city isn't a party to the agreement between the feds, the Corps, and the county, But part of that beach renourishment plan is that if there is a named storm and renourishment has to occur, it is at 100% federal cost for the area between 28th Street and 6th Street. But, you know, I know the county is trying to get the rest of the beach designated as critically eroded so that that free sand can be expanded further northward.
All right, thank you. So, further discussion.
I don't think if it was said, I didn't hear it. But the question was, could we wait? Is it necessary that we act on this now? Or is it possible that we can wait until we're closer to the time that we know if the $2.5 million is going to be there? I think that was the question.
Yeah, we didn't get a clear answer yet.
I think we can start the project with the surveying and the designing and the permitting so that we are, because Mr. Perdone believes that the permitting from the state will probably take between 4 and 6 months. So if we want to be able to jump onto that, the dune construction upon the immediate cessation of the pier project, so we're ready to go in the second quarter, timing is probably a factor.
Or, Mr. Cunningham, you're versed in this. Like, so there's multiple pieces of this, right? The pieces that are going to take longer, we could probably move forward with them now, but is there stuff we can wait till we get closer to that window where we're going to know better? So we're not spending money potentially needlessly?
Permitting may take too long, but designing it, engineering it, that doesn't take very long to do at all.
So I guess one of the questions that I would have for y'all is, you know, in the direction or the motion, do we want to put in something about the timing? So certain pieces of this can wait till it's closer to where we have an idea. Is that, you know, and again, I'm not an expert in this subject, so I don't know.
I guess my recommendation is that we should move forward with this. You already have this money budgeted, and if we, again, the surveying and design shouldn't take that long. But as Commissioner Cunningham pointed out, Mr. Perdoma's estimate is permitting, even when you start to finish the design of the boardwalk project, permitting will likely take between 5 and 6 months from DEP. So if you say 5 or 6 months, if we want to jump on it at the conclusion of the pier construction, assuming that's in the first quarter, you know, we have to have the design and the surveying and design of the dune before September. If you're going to say 6 months, you got October, November, December, January, February, March. If we want to then immediately jump into and then construct the dune and have a 1-year waiting period.
Right. Makes sense. All right, further discussion? Mr. Cunningham, you good?
If we don't approve this today, we can still submit for the $2.5 million, right? And then track it?
Yeah, that's an ongoing process right now.
So it's already in?
Correct. We are continuing discussions, but because the legislature is still trying to work their way through the budget, they're kind of tied up with this year's budget. But we've had discussions with DEP, and Mr. Fernandez has had discussions with the sponsor of the bill, and the sponsors indicated his level of support for this money for the sponsor to sign a letter to go to DEP, and then we just need DEP to sign off and say, yep, we agree with this. So that's been in the works. Mr. Fernandez and I have been working on this for about 16 months.
So you don't have to have any kind of a design before you submit for the grant, right? The $2.5 million.
Again, that's not a grant, but the whole effort is that we are relating it. It has to be related to the pier. So no, they're not asking for design. The DEP is not asking for design parameters, we're just telling them, hey, this is the whole. If you go back and look at the documents that were reviewed by the state for the $4.5 million allocation, it's all talks about how great the pier is for tourism. So our whole effort in engaging DEP is, since we bragged about the tourism associated with the pier, here's a chance to take the tourism and even improve it even more. And so, no, they don't need to, they haven't indicated at any point in time that they're going to need to see, we've shared with them the preliminary plans that you guys saw when Mr. Perdomo first proposed phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So the state has seen those.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for a free $2.5 million, but I don't like spending all that money if it may not happen.
And again, we have the off-ramp that if we don't find the $2.5 million and we're only $40,000 into survey and permitting, come back to you and say, okay, here you go. Do you want a Dune project already completed and let's go forward and spend the rest of the 180? Or do we say, no, let's hit the brakes, pause. Instead, Mr. Perdomo, give us a proposal to reconfigure the A-frame under its current footprint. And at that time, you can make that decision.
Got it. All right. Further discussion. And if you call the roll.
Commissioner Spradley,
Yes to the motion.
Commissioner Sherman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Yes.
Commissioner Santori,
Yes to motion?
Chair Cooley.
Yes to the motion. Motion passes unanimous. Yep. Before we move to the next item, I'm going to cover par board seats. Looks like based on the vote, our next 3 members. Oh, Penny, you had I saw a note in here about terms.
Mr. Martin suggested.
Yeah, I'll take the responsibility for that one. Benny and I discussed this. This is an effort, nothing more than standardizing or streamlining the terms. Right now, we have terms, as was presented to you, terms that expire in February, terms that expire in May. This is just an effort or an opportunity to say, why don't we have all the terms expire on, and you can pick the date.
And they would,
I said December 31st.
they would still be tiered, so it's not 6 new members all
So
at one time.
what my recommendation was, please appoint these 3 that you're about to announce for a term to expire December 31st of 2029. So they're actually going to have a 3.5-year term. Next year, when we appoint them, you appoint 2 for a term to expire December 31st of 2030. And then the final 2, because according to our code, you can't have more than 3 expire in 1 year, the final 2 are a term that expires in December 31st of 2031. All it is trying to say, why don't we have all of our boards and commissions, with the exception of the City Commission, expire on the same day every single year, and then the December meeting, you could have an organizational meeting and say, here, we appoint everybody, the Parks Committee, the Power Board, whatever other committees you want to do. It's just an opportunity. If not, you move on.
City Attorney, do we have to do any resolution or ordinance?
Would make them when you make the appointments tonight. If you want to go that direction, you would make a motion to set those terms as set forth there. So that's what you do, a motion for that.
Right,
So
so that would be in the
today.
motion
Correct.
to do this. Alright, so our 3 members is going, just in order of the sheet here, you got Rick Bellhumer, Paul McKitka, and Lisa Smith. So congratulations to you 3. This will be the highest paying gig you've ever done. To the folks that applied that didn't get it, Mr. Aragon, and everybody else, please stay engaged. These seats change all the time, and everybody up here knows we need engaged citizens on these boards. It's very important. So please, whenever the next seats come up, please continue to apply, because we need folks that care and want to be there on these boards. All right, so I will need a motion. City Attorney, can you help us out with that?
A motion to appoint those 3 individuals to terms to expire on December 31st, 2029.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3 individuals that led the voting today for terms that expire on December 31st, 2029.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion, second. City Attorney, is this roll call?
Call.
All right, Penny, if you call the roll, please. We don't need public comment on this, do we?
You do not. It's an administrative.
Okay.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Yes.
Commissioner Santori,
Yes to motion?
Commissioner Spradley,
Yes to the motion.
Commissioner Sherman,
Yes.
Chair Cooley.
Yes, the motion. Motion passes unanimous. All right, and congratulations to our new old members, or old new members, however you say it, without insulting them. The ones that start new terms. Yes. All right, so we will go to item D, parking management, request for qualifications. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As was discussed for a long time, before I think any of you were seated, and as at the visioning session, there's been long-held interest in exploring paid parking in the city limits. So what you have before you is a draft request for qualifications that I just need some of your feedback on, if you had a chance to review it, if you want to make any changes or revisions to it. The intent is that this will go to press and be published on June 1st. The schedule is outlined on page 75 of your packet. And for the public's interest, the request for qualifications would be published on June 1st. We would have an optional site visit for any interested parking management companies on June 12th. If they have any questions that they want answered as officially part of the request for qualifications, those are due to city staff by June 19th. The request for qualifications would be due on July 2nd, at which time, or shortly thereafter, we would actually appoint an evaluation committee, which would likely not include any of you because you would then subsequently have to act on the evaluation team's recommendation. The evaluation committee would conduct their review and they would rank the qualifications submitted in a numeric order. And they would meet to do that review on July 16th. On August 11th, the certain number of selected applicants or contractors would basically come to you at a dedicated workshop to offer insight into their application, whether you'd want to hear from 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, however many. And then after that, you would then consider having city staff enter into discussions or negotiations with a parking management consultant on September 10th. So even though you outline that whole schedule, just because you say staff enter in discussions with Smith Parking Management, there is no deal at that point in time. We're not ready to start paid parking on September 11th. We are probably still 6 months out from the time that you tell staff to enter in discussions with them. And whether discussions are fruitful or not, but something would have to come back to you to formalize the agreement anyway before we move forward with that. So there are plenty of opportunities to say, nope, we don't want to consider this. But you've asked for us to move staff to bring this forward to you, so here it is for your review before we go to press.
All right, Commissioner Spradley.
I think it's great that this is finally before us. I know I served on the paid parking committee. Now, I've been saying for several years that I was on that paid parking committee 7 or 8 years ago, but I looked at this thing, it was actually 13 years ago when that paid parking committee was formed. And it was a different ball game back then. Back then, you were talking about stick meters, and we had some great presentations, and I may have said it here before, but normally the warranty on those stick meters is a year, but they were kind enough to offer us 6-month warranties because of the harsh salt environment. So that went a long way towards us saying no because of we'd be in the parking meter purchasing business forever. But now, to the extent that it seems that it would be a good idea to have paid parking in some areas with residents having passes, it would be just paid by our neighbors and visitors. And I think it's great that it's finally up here for a discussion. Not that we're approving it, just that it's time to discuss it. And I do remember from the way back 13 years ago when we had it, we had these parking companies come in. They were very thorough. I think we had 3 different companies come in, and it was very enlightening in what they do. And so I think it would be a great opportunity to see if that's one solution to our parking issue around here. So appreciate your putting this on the agenda. Thanks.
Other discussion, Commissioner Santori.
I have a few items just for us to discuss. So the first is the RFQ does not mention the paid parking for non-residents. Should that be added to the scope? I would think so.
Yeah, we can add that to the scope.
Okay. And then section 3.2 has the vendor issuing citations. So is that what normally happens, or is it our own police? Or is it all through cameras typically now?
I think we had Passport in here about 2 years ago, so that was before you were elected, Commissioner Santori, and they indicated that there were enforcement people that were part of the parking management company, but yes, the citations were issued electronically.
Okay, and a couple more. Section 10 sets a 5-year initial term. Do we want to look at maybe a shorter term, like a 3-year term, or have both quoted in case we want an off-ramp at a sooner time if we do approve this?
I would think so. Is that something that he's built in at this point? Because we're not even getting into contracts.
And I agree. The only reason, and again, I try to go to other communities and look at the paid parking. Part of the 5-year term is, again, the amount of the investment, the return on the investment that the parking management company has to invest into the infrastructure, whether it's signage, license plate readers, things like that. But if we can make that more generic, initial term to be determined at a subsequent time, something like that.
Okay, that works for me. I just noticed it was in the qualifications that we're going to publish. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page for it. And the last question I have is Section 9, I guess with the weighing of vendors, the community engagement is weighed at 15 points. I'm just not sure. Typically with the parking document that I read from you, I think treated the community engagement as a city's responsibility, and then if we're going to put it out, it seems to be the vendor's responsibility. So is that similar to what New Urban Concepts did with their community outreach?
We have to coordinate that. So yes, we would coordinate that with the vendors to invite stakeholders and primary, secondary, and residents.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Other comments? Commissioner Cunningham.
So we've looked at other towns, different types of paid parking they have.
Yes,
I was
sir.
over in Fernandina Beach for a League of Cities meeting, and they just had signs on the wall saying paid parking. I don't know how you pay. I parked. I didn't pay anything. I ain't got a ticket yet. So
And I think,
I don't know how effective it is.
yeah, there are a lot of concerns. There's actually a lawsuit going on right now with regard to paid parking about, somebody's filed a lawsuit against several of the parking vendors about, do the signs meet Florida state standards for having the proper information on them? So that's actually against a couple of the paid parking vendors elsewhere in the state, so I'm following that with interest. But yeah, there are certain areas, and I know that Fernandina Beach, I went through this 1 or 2 times at Fernandina Beach. They finally did move forward to implement it. It's been rough up there, but you have the ability to, and maybe what they did when you were up there for the League of Cities, Commissioner Cunningham, is they can suspend. We have the flexibility to say, hey, we're going to have a special event, and maybe you actually want to suspend parking or paid parking, much like Mr. Sinelli does on certain events on his lot. He's like, hey, you're having First Friday, I'll let people park in my lot at no cost or reduced cost. So there is that flexibility. The technology that I believe Commissioner Spradley was referring to, it's not just insert the nickel, the quarter, or the dime and turn the dial. You can have flex pricing or surge pricing or things like that. But yeah, that's one of the concerns in Fernandina is they've added a whole lot of signs to what appears and serves as a truly historic neighborhood. And there's been some significant pushback in that community that, You have all these old 1800 brick buildings, 1800 era brick buildings, and now you've got parking signs that, did they go through they have a historic district commission up there, and was there proper approval for the signs? So, yeah, there's some challenge. It's not going to be, let's roll this out and everything's going to work perfectly. But yeah, we've looked at that. At your direction during the visioning session, I did reach out to Volusia Paid Parking. Ironically, the Volusia Paid Parking Company is the exact same one that is in Fernandina Beach, one parking. So I've had some preliminary discussion with them. I've sent this to them for some eyes on. They had no comments on it. So I appreciate Commissioner Santori's comments. But yeah, it's just the first step in a 13 to 15 year process.
Or longer. Yeah, I did some research on how long this city's been looking at paid parking, and I found all the way back into the 90s. And it probably might have even been further than that. What other questions y'all got or comments on this? Questions I had are, does this work kind of like a bidding process? Like, let's say one parking. You put out a RFQ proposal, right? Let's say they don't respond to it. But we really want to talk to them because they have neighboring municipalities and that run good programs. Are they automatically out at that point?
If you put out a request for qualifications, the companies you're considering at the end of that are the companies that responded. You do not have to select any of those companies, and you can always go out again. So, but you would not introduce somebody who did not respond to an RFQ.
So you would want to call them ahead of time or something. At least make sure they're in the mix.
Well, believe me, I'm getting all kinds of phone calls and emails asking what's the status of the RFQ, and okay, it hasn't been published yet, but it will be. So there's already known interest, and I did an internet search, and I've come across at least 10 nationwide parking companies that I will make sure that I send this to them directly. It's going to be published as we do with all of our bid packages on the World Wide Web through DemandStar. But yeah, I will make sure it's sent directly to as many parking companies that I can find on the websites.
What's your concern that they wouldn't apply?
It's interesting. When we put things out for bid, stuff will come back with one bid, stuff like that. And then, Commissioner Cunningham's brought this up a lot. He says, these are good paying jobs. How come we're not getting more activity? And, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. There's no feedback out there. But, for instance, just as an example, why I ask is Volusia has a very well done program. It's polished, it works, and so that and plus it's neighboring too, so you have that consistency from one municipality to another. You're also not, because it's a similar program, you're not getting into a competition scenario where, it gets really weird.
As Drew said, if we didn't get the responses, we can always backtrack and go through that process again. It just adds time to the meter.
And the other questions I got, and this kind of goes along what Commissioner Santori was talking about, is when we do this RFQ, this is so we can begin discussions, but a lot of this has quite a bit of terms and everything in here. So, let's say hypothetically we wanted to discuss the concept of employee parking, where they go and all that. And if it's not in this document, are we boxing ourselves in or out of that?
No, because what you're looking for, and some of the feedback that I actually got from One Parking is, this is not their business plan. We're not even asking for their business plan. What we're asking for is, tell us your qualifications, and then let's say this moves forward as smoothly as we hope it will. When you come to your decision and you tell city staff, we want you to engage One Parking on September 10th, that's when all those discussions begin to come up with a formal agreement that will probably take 90 to 120 days at a minimum to come back before you, for you guys, and we'll keep you informed of that whole process that says, okay, here, what's your plan for employee parking? How are you gonna handle special events? How are you gonna handle, all these other parking, things like that? So that's not part of the request for qualifications. All we're saying is, tell us how good you are at what you do. The evaluation company or committee will then rank them, one parking number one, passport number two, and then we will decide to you, okay, here's the scores that the evaluation team gave. How many of those, at what point do you have a cutoff? Do you want 3 of those companies to come and give you a dog and pony show on August 11th? Are you comfortable with 2, or do you want, and that's where you decide. They come in and they'll kind of start hinting at that, but this is all about qualifications at this point in time, not operational issues.
All right, good info. The only other comment I had, and I wanted to preface any action we take, I want to make a statement to the public, because I know how this is going to get portrayed in the media.
Eric approved paid.
Yeah, that's exactly what will happen. And the sky's falling. And you cannot make a decision until you have the data. So we can't even decide if paid parking is the right thing for us until we get them in front of us, have active, real discussions, cover the nuts and bolts, see if this is the right thing for the city, because I know how this is going to come off. This is exactly what you said. Commissioner Cooley said we're going to have paid parking starting tomorrow.
We're starting our investigation
Right.
into the
Yeah. I just think it really that point really needs driven home is you can't make a decision without the data. And this is the move to go get the data and have them, bring it to us and we start discussing that. Or, what other discussion? Or, well, we need a motion on this, right?
Actually, no, you don't. This was given to you for you to do any final wordsmithing, but again,
do we need to accept it or anything, or give direction to staff?
I think staff is just looking for direction as to if there's anything in there. I think staff's intent is to send out the RFQ. It doesn't need your motion to do that. It's just looking for any input you may have before it goes out.
And I have no consensus or anything?
I have Commissioner Santori's comments that make the term more generic and make sure there's reference to residential or property owner. Part of the program will be that Flagler Beach residents have no charge for parking.
That's absolute.
That you guys have been clear about that from day one.
Commissioner Santori.
And just to be clear, this isn't going to cost us anything, it appears, except for, staff time.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no cost involved in this.
All right, well, even though we're not doing a motion, I do want to open this up for public comment. However, we're not moving forward with paid parking, we're moving forward with gathering information. So if anybody has a public comment on this, I'm opening this up for public comment.
Mark Imhoff, 261 Ocean Palm Drive. Just sitting over here thinking, and maybe this is way off tangent or something, but if we have limited space in town to park, has there been any consideration for using like the space under the bridge? Towards the boat ramp. There's a huge area under there for, I don't know what kind of, you guys are the experts on parking, but or the municipal, where the police station is, that whole strip of municipal buildings. Is there a possibility for doing a Flagler Beach version of some kind of a parking facility? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Suzanne Newman, 1601 North Central Ave. I came for the litter ordinance, but this is of interest to me. So I just want to say, I hope when you do research, RFPs are easy to get, but let's look at the drawbacks. You mentioned employees. Just saying it's free for people that live here. It's a nice thing, but there's already not a lot of parking, it seems. And I don't know, can we buy that building at the corner of the street, make that a parking garage? The eyesore that's there across from the pier. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
I left the commission 5 years ago. We were talking about paid parking. We're talking about it again. I think that I think you're on the right track, and there are a lot of considerations to be made, and I think the public needs to know just what Commissioner Chairman Cooley is saying is that this is just the first step. And if I remember correctly, when we brought in the contractor to actually make the presentation, there are a lot of different scenarios that you can use. I mean, you can put in a scenario to actually charge for whomever you want. It's on special events, you can just eliminate everyone from parking, from paying parking, employees, it goes down the whole gamut. If you just wanted to charge on the main front where the ocean is, where everyone wants to park, and that's where everyone throws all their litter, that was one area that you can charge, just that, and leave the parking lots alone where people can just be encouraged to park there and just charge on the other areas. So, I mean, there's a lot of things here, but I think we need to be, and again, you're right, folks are going to say, Flagler Beach is starting to charge for parking. And eventually you will, because when I was doing the research, Flagler Beach is the only city, I think, from Fernandina all the way down to Miami that does not charge parking. The only one. Everywhere we go, we know we're going to have to pay parking. And in regard to the last comments under the bridge, that belongs to the county. I own a boat. It's long. It's got a long trailer. You got a lot of boaters that park under there, and the county is going to push back and say, no, you cannot park under that bridge because that is one of the areas where all the boat trailers that use the ramps. So I just want to let you know that that's going to be a big contentious pushback right there as far as trying to park under the bridge. But other than that, move on.
Hi, I'm Carla, 1311 South Flagler Avenue. I remember the 90s when we talked about paid parking. I think the one question that I had before then now is the money made from paid parking, could it be used for beach situation, or does it go into general fund? So I feel like if it was paid parking, that might be a better sell to the community if we could say this is used for something in specific rather than it just floats away into some threshold of never ending.
Thank you.
Commission, Tony Roy, 1836 South Central. I'm all for paid parking for non-residents, of course. I think that's a good idea. It's been on the table for a long time. One of the things I'm concerned about, though, definitely should be free for residents, of long-term residents, tenants, renters, short-term and long-term renters. But have you considered Veranda Bay is now part of Flagler Beach? Are they going to be paying for parking to come to the beach, or are you going to let them waive the fee as well? We're basically going to double in size residentially with Veranda Bay and Sunnyland, and just something to consider. Are you going to charge them, or only the people that live on the island are going to have waived parking fees? That was it.
Bruce Freeland, 255 Ocean Pond Drive. My only concern is, I guess I'm not clear on which area of the town, the city you plan on having paid parking. And my concern is if you concentrate paid parking here near the pier, the beach side, that it's going to push people from out of town down and out, even on the south side where there's very few people, and I would want you to consider the impact of that. That's it. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing no one, close public comment. A lot of these comments we don't have answers to, just because we haven't even started that discussion. Go down the list here. We have been talking about putting parking back by the police station for a long time. And I think you have some plans. You are already planning on doing that anyway.
There's been some conceptual discussions that I've shared, I think, with most of you, if not all of you, about, what are some opportunities that we have. So those are ongoing discussions.
Yep. Carl Klein brought up how would the money get treated. I believe is that an enterprise fund?
It's unrestricted, so you could choose to restrict it, but you're not bound to restrict it.
Right.
Yeah, you can put the money, if you want to use it for enhanced parking efforts, or beach efforts, or new car for the chairman. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You get your choice. As the attorney said, you will decide whether it's an enterprise fund that can be only used for further parking operations, or if you want it to go to beach, but you will be the ones deciding where that money goes. It won't go for a new car for the chairman.
Well, that would go on top of what Commissioner Sprouty was saying. Commissioner Cooley moves forward with paid parking to get a new car. I could see this. Yeah, and these are all, oh, Tony, Veranda Bay, they would, they're residents, so they would get treated just like residents, but they're also tax-paying residents. One of the benefits of annexing in Veranda Bay is we are collecting property taxes from them, so they're contributing. And so it's fair is fair. And what the nice part is, and the whole concept of paid parking, is to capture funds from the folks that don't contribute financially. The people that come here that are not paying property taxes, I'm not going to call them out specifically. We have the data that shows who's coming here from Coast. And and so, you know, it's just a matter of capturing that to make sure everybody pays their fair share, because there's a lot of costs the city incurs because of that traffic.
It's only half of Veranda Bay, just the street along the river. Because the other half close to John Anderson, that's not in the city. That didn't get annexed, right?
Correct. There's a strip along John
okay.
Anderson that's out by Summertown and
yeah,
what was annexed in Veranda Bay. Yes, they were treated as residents.
All right. So further discussion.
One thing that was raised, and I hear it all the time, is why don't you turn the Bank of America building into a parking lot or parking garage? And you know, can't say it loudly enough, but it's private property. The city doesn't own it. I mean, the city could buy it potentially, but it's not public property. So I get asked that pretty much on a daily basis, is why don't you guys turn that into a parking lot? Because we don't own it.
Well, and I got asked numerous times just a couple days ago, why didn't we make the Barwick Bank go there? And we can't make banks that are private go to other private places. We can suggest it, but just as some insight, the person who owns the Bank of America building wants too much money for it right now, if that helps everybody's side. So whenever he decides he's done sitting on it for forever and paying property taxes, you know, hopefully he'll lower his price. But that's why the Bank of America building is sitting, or at least why it hasn't sold. You know, why it's sitting, that's up to that particular property owner. All right, so no action taken. Any further discussion before we move on? All right, city manager, you got marching orders on that. We'll move on to resolution 2026-39. Drew?
Resolution 2026-39, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, authorizing the city manager to serve as the authorizing agent for the City of Flagler Beach for the Florida Department of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Grant number 4834-116, providing for conflict and providing for an effective date.
All right, city manager.
This is a grant application that the city submitted for drainage work on South Daytona Avenue between 26th Street and 28th Street. The details or the scope of that project are listed in the staff report. The key component is even though I signed for it as permitted, the state is requiring that we actually have a resolution from you, the board, authorizing me to be the authorizing agent. So that's all this is here. We've submitted the application, and they're like, yep, we need this by, I think, Monday or so. It's a quick turnaround, which is why we had to add it to the agenda tonight. But it's just authorizing me to serve as the authorizing agent. It's for a $2.5 million project, of which 75% would be the FEMA share and 25% would be the city share. $1.8 million and $600,000 respectively.
Questions for city manager? No? Look for motion.
Motion to approve resolution for this already?
No, we have not. I think we might have had to submit some preliminary design, but I think it was just the application that outlined. So I would say that there's probably likely nothing more than maybe preliminary efforts, Commissioner Cunningham. But I can find out for you. Commissioner, Mr. Freeman's here. Yeah, we have it. There's no design. It's
So
proposed.
we're just guessing on the 2,800 cubic yards of water storage,
Correct. I mean,
retention
there was a
ponds?
calculation on that, right.
I don't know where those will go. That's it.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-39.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open this up for public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item?
Just a quick question. The 25% I assume was already approved by you guys? The 600,000?
And Tony, if you could just state your name for the record.
Anthony Stewart, sorry, 86. The 25% I assume already went in front of the board and has been approved to be spent towards this project?
We will find out for you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. City Manager, Mr. Stewart had a question about.
No, that money is not budgeted. We do not budget for grant appropriations, because otherwise the budget would be significantly inflated with potential grants. So this would come out, if the grant is awarded, this money would be drawn from the stormwater reserves.
Mr. Santori.
So is this project in our stormwater master plan at all?
I believe that it is listed in there. Yep. And that's one of the concerns that's been raised repeatedly about the 26 to 2800 block of South Daytona.
Further discussion?
We should put the rear drainage swale back in like it used to be, and it would get out of there. It's all filled in.
That is part 6 of the scope. Regrade 20-foot utility easement between South Daytona and John Bull Street.
So that is putting that drain back in?
Correct. That's part of the initial scope. The project plan envisions the following measures. All dimensions and measurements are approximate.
If that was to happen, you wouldn't have to do a whole lot of that other stuff. It would get out the 27th and head west and turn the corner and go to the river. That's it.
So, Commissioner Cunningham, that item 6 is, I guess the question is, would a reword be a good idea on that, or, I'd have to defer to.
It wouldn't be
to your
regrading, it would be re-establishing the old swale that was back there between the backyards of John Bull and the backyards of South Daytona, between 27th and 28th on the west side. But if they back up, there should be a 20-foot easement back there, drainage easement, or utility, either way. Used to be a swale back there, but it's all filled in now. It blocks the water from being able to convey north to 27th. That's what it's supposed to do.
Is that, City Manager, is that something that can get worked into that, or?
Well, that is part of this is the design element, part of the vision of the project moving forward. And that's one component of it. It's also to mill and research, do all the points that are listed there in an effort to have a comprehensive stormwater improvements down between 26 and 2800 South Daytona Street.
But the point Commissioner Cunningham is bringing up is in there?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Santor.
Commissioner Cunningham, I know at a previous project you mentioned surveying and things. Do you think something like that is needed on this project? Because I didn't see it listed in there.
You only got about 5 or 6 inches of fall in almost 1,000 feet. So it's not much. Absolutely survey it, get elevations.
That would be part of the design if we're awarded the grant.
Okay. Got it. So that's an upcoming step.
Right, once we hear if we get the grant.
Right.
Well, if we don't get the grant, it still needs to be done.
Correct. And we'll figure out how to approach it with the funds that are available at that point in time.
Right, because if they get the grant, this is coming back to us anyways. All right, further discussion? And did we have a?
Yes, you have.
All right, we had a motion on this. All right, Penny, if you call the roll.
Commissioner Santori,
Yes to motion?
Commissioner Spradley,
Yes to the motion.
Commissioner Sherman.
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Yes.
Chair Cooley.
Yes to the motion. Motion passes unanimous. All right, we're going to move on to ordinances. We have ordinance 2026-06. Drew?
Ordinance number 2026-06, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan future land use map designation for approximately 2.943 acres of certain real property with Flagler County parcel ID 29-12-32-0000-010-0010, generally located interior to the property known as the Ocean Palm Golf Course, providing for severability, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date.
All right, City Manager, is this you?
It's Ms. McClenny.
Ms. McClenny.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the City Commission approve the small-scale flu amendment for approximately 2.94 acres from high-density residential to recreation, as it aligns with the city's comp plan and land development code, and with the city's vision to maintain a golf course with no residential development. Thank you.
All right, and this has been in front of us many times. Further discussion, or any discussion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2026-06.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll open this up for public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item?
Mark Emmer of 261 Ocean Palm. It's maybe totally separate from this, but can you fill us in on what's going on with that property? It literally looks now like Pete Hegseth has taken over control of that thing. It is insane. What is going on with Mr. Ryan? He was supposed to buy it on the 11th of April for $6 million. Tiger Woods was going to be playing a PGA Par 3 down there. There was pictures of it. What is going on? I just want, from the public point of view, some clarity on what is he doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. City Manager, you can probably cover that in our staff comments. That's not
As
this agenda item.
indicated, the contract that was approved with Mr. Ryan allows for up to 3 one-month extensions from the closing date. He executed the first extension. He's in the process. He did execute the second extension. That extension currently expires on June 11th. And hopefully he'll have the closing by then. If not, he is eligible to have a third and final 30-day extension to submit or complete the closing.
All right, thank you.
Just I can add a little bit, just what I've heard from the attorney as far as the financing delays is because they were using, the initial plan was to do a small business association loan, and because of the government shutdown, at least what they're telling us, what they're hearing from SBA, is that backlogged SBA. And so that has been the delay there. And this last phone call I had was probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago with Jay. It was that they were starting to explore other options because they were concerned about that backlog. You know, even though the government is, that has been resolved at federal level, there is still the backlog that they are working through. So that's all. That's the only thing I can add there is what's going on with the financing.
All right, thank you. Further discussion? All right, Penny, if you
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
And it's not really to do with that. It's just a general question. Did the city, is that fellow supposed to still be paying the property taxes on that property?
It's part of
No, he's, right. Part of the lease is that he pays the property taxes.
So the city didn't pay the property taxes for 25 and 26 or whatever the year run is.
No, that's the responsibility of the current leaseholder.
The city may pay and then bill. That typically is how that'd be handled. The city might pay the tax bill, but then bill tenant.
Reimbursed?
Correct.
I'd like to see that, the reimbursement.
All right, further discussion? We had a motion on this?
Yeah.
Penny, if you can call roll. I'm off my game tonight.
So I'm sitting here for you.
Commissioner Spradley,
Yes to the motion.
Commissioner Sherman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham,
Yes.
Commissioner Santori,
Yes to motion?
Chair Cooley.
Yes to the motion. Motion passes unanimous. Ordinance 2026-07. Drew?
Ordinance 2026-07, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances, setting forth general provisions for mobility fees, definitions, purpose, and adoption of the mobility fee study, providing for imposition and a mobility fee schedule, providing for codification, conflicts, severability, and for an effective date.
All right, discussion. Or,
Just if I can walk you through a few things, this came for first reading last time, it's first reading again today. I'm sorry, I'm one ahead. I have one comment on this. Commissioner Santori caught on line 33, the subject is missing. That line should read, whereas state law authorizes. That's all I have to add on this one before you do your discussion. Sorry.
okay. City planner.
Yes, sir. So the mobility fee is an equitable and simplified, it's a one-time payment from new development to mitigate the impact to the city's multimodal transportation system. The city mobility fee and which is documented in the technical reports, consistent with legal and statutory requirements. And the staff recommends that City Commission approve ordinance 2026. No additions or edits have been made or recommended, and so we recommend approval of the ordinance. Thank you.
All right, discussion. Commissioner Santori.
Ms. McClenning, was there anything that I reviewed with you that we felt we needed to discuss up here, or most of this can be added at a later time?
Yes, you're right. It could be added. If it's up to you, if you want to open it up, we could, but it's not required. It could be amended anytime or added.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? I'll look for a motion.
Make a motion that,
Let me make one point of information, because the city finance director asked about this. These would go into effect, the intent of the city staff is to have these be effective October 1st. I believe the code says 90 days or 60 days.
90
But
days.
the intent is to put them into effect at the start of the fiscal year, October 1st, which is a little bit longer than what's specified in the ordinance.
Any particular reason why, or?
Just to tie it with the fiscal year, that's all.
Okay.
I think the 90 days, it'll tie pretty close to that, unless city attorney advises otherwise.
I was just going to say, if you wanted to take effect on October 1, I would make the effective date October 1.
Okay, so this would be an amended.
do you need the motion amended then, or?
Do you have a motion now?
I was getting ready to say it in.
Well, I had to change the whereas clause, so I needed it as amended anyway, but, so yes, I would also specifically state to amend the effective date to October 1 in that motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2026-06 with an effective date of October 1st, 2026.
I'll second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. We'll open this up public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Further discussion? Commissioner Santori.
Ms. McClenning, do you think delaying that date to October 1st is going to hurt us impactfully, or no?
So it's May, June, July, August. So we'll leave stuff on the table for 2 months if anything happens.
Yeah, a lot of permits getting filed in
Yeah.
August and September.
Yeah, because the builders find out about this, you'll be flooded with building permits to get them in before that starts.
I mean, would you prefer we implement this sooner or later?
Well, it does make it easier, I think, for finance on the fiscal year. I'm just thinking about what we leave on the table, but.
I'm thinking about money we're leaving on the table.
Believe me, it's not a finance department, and if you wanna make it the 90 days and make it I think that's the minimum we have to have it, is the 90 days. Then
Amend your
absolutely.
motion.
I mean, we've reduced the building permit fees to 25%, so.
Okay. I will, amend that motion.
Original language?
Yes, the original language. Yes, that's correct.
I'll second.
Second is amended. All right, Penny, if you call the roll.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes.
Commissioner Santori?
Yes to motion?
Commissioner Spradley?
Yes to the motion.
Chair Cooley?
Yes to the motion. Motion passes unanimous. All right, staff report. City Attorney.
I have one more ordinance.
I am super off my game tonight. My apologies. Ordinance 2026-08.
Ordinance number 2026-08, an ordinance of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, relating to littering regulations, amending Chapter 14, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, adopting more stringent littering regulations, restricting the use of plastic and metallized party decorations outside on public properties, providing for penalties and enforcement, providing for appeals and payment of citations, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And now, if you wouldn't mind, I can walk you through the modifications I made based on your comments at the first reading. You will see the penalties for littering citations have been increased as was requested at that meeting. That's lines 118 through 125. The penalties for plastic and metallized party decorations, you will see an addition there. My numbering is off, so I already see the numbering issue there, but I've added a new number 1 to specifically state, in most cases in code enforcement, their first piece of paper they serve is going to be, even in a citation system, is going to be a warning, but we've specifically built into the party decorations section of this a warning and an explanation to the person that's getting the citation as to what it is they're doing that they cannot do. You will also see in lines 147 to 158, we've narrowed that definition of prohibited decoration item so that it's small, lightweight items that can be windblown and escape during normal wind conditions. And so you see the more specifics there to get away from the concerns over large type decorations or Christmas trees or that thing, because that was not the intent. So we've narrowed that definition to be very clear that we're talking about small things that can get windblown and blown into the ocean. The who can issue the citations has been narrowed in this draft back to law enforcement officers and code enforcement officers, taking out the lifeguards, taking out the other supervisory staff. I know you may likely hear encouragement to put that back in, but for this draft, based on your conversation last meeting, it's come out. I think those are the major ones. Again, the higher restrictions for the littering part, the little bit more understanding for the party decorations part, and then who can actually issue the citations are the major changes.
All right, Mr. Reynolds, I was definitely not trying to skip this ordinance. This is a good one. Yeah, I am. Yeah, there's nothing about a car in here, though, so.
Dude, I understand you right where you said it's going to be a warning first? Or just a warning for the folks who are doing a wedding or something on the beach?
Warning first. Okay. Under part 2 of code enforcement, state law code enforcement, we always start with a warning. State law requires us to issue a warning, but you could have a situation where somebody was received a warning some time ago. This makes it very clear that if it's in party favors, you start with warning. So if you observe somebody littering, you still, if you're using part 2 of state law code enforcement, the very first piece of paper they get is that warning, but then that warning is their one warning for then and forevermore.
I guess I'm sure there's a record kept of that, of who it is somehow.
And with this program, we'd probably have to go through that again, and other things like with noise violations, we have had to go through that here and make sure that we were tracking, especially when you have potentially police department and code enforcement, so that there's communication between those so that one knows what warnings the other has issued. But yes, that is always an issue.
So you can't find them first, right?
if we're issuing citations under Part 2 of state law code enforcement, then yes, we have to give that warning first.
Further discussion?
I like it as amended. I know that there was a lot of discussion about lifeguards and others issuing citations, and I understand that would be a more effective way to enforce, but I'm also concerned for the safety of the lifeguards is the bottom line. And so while I understand there would be better enforcement if there's more who are authorized to enforce, I'm good with law enforcement and code enforcement being the ones who do issue citations. Thank you.
Other further discussion?
I mean, even if you're not authorized to issue a citation or a warning, there should be definitely a direct line of contact with any city employee that sees something going on to call law enforcement or code enforcement to hopefully show up and catch them.
Or even if you're not catching them, law enforcement shows up, you got, say, a group party in there and they're trashing the beach.
Yeah.
You know, the intent is get that cleaned up, and I'm pretty sure they could probably help get that straightened out. The only comment I had is I just want to make sure we're okay with from 109 to 113, this whole rebuttable presumption. City Attorney, are you comfortable with that? Is this something a lot of municipalities use?
This is a model ordinance, so those that have adopted anything along these lines, then likely we do. For littering, I couldn't tell you. We use the rebuttable presumption in other types of code enforcement issues for the same reason we're using it here, which is you will not see the piece of police officer will not see the piece of trash or the pile of trash blow out of the vehicle. And so by creating that rebuttable presumption, what you do from an evidentiary standard is you say, okay, unless you're flip-flopping the burden of proof, basically. You're turning it on to the respondents, their burden to prove that this was not theirs. So that's really what you're doing there. So there's still the opportunity for them to come in and say, no, this wasn't mine, and here's my proof. That's what a rebuttable presumption is.
And I worry about that. So we operate on innocent until proven guilty. And this paragraph is you're guilty until proven innocent. And that's, to me, that's, I don't know. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on it.
I happen to be in favor of it as worded, because it's not an absolute presumption. It doesn't conclude that you did it, but it does give you the opportunity to explain. And so, in a situation like this, I get it. If we're talking crimes, then I definitely don't want to have the burden of proof to prove I didn't commit the crime. But for something like this, I'm good with it. It's a huge problem around here, and it gives the person an opportunity to say, that piece of wood didn't fly off my truck, and has the ability of the officer or whoever it is to size that up. So me personally, I'm okay with it as it is.
And Sheriff, it may or may not give you any additional comfort level on it, but just to point out the significance of the sworn statement in there also. Before you even get to that rebuttable presumption, you didn't just pick up the phone and call and complain. You have signed and attested, sworn that yes, this trash came out of that vehicle. So it's not just a simple call in, hey, and turning in my neighbor or turning in that truck driver. You got to issue a sworn statement.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any other comments? Before we open this up public comment, do you all want to hear from the sponsor of this?
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Reynolds.
Darrell Reynolds, 322 North 11th Street. Penny, you're off your game today, too. This should have been much earlier. This should have been right behind Ken, actually. So think about that next time, please. So, you and Eric, you're on the bright list.
We get off weeks every once in a while, I guess.
So as far as the lifeguards, I mean, y'all spend a lot of time talking about that. I never intended it to be lifeguards. I want to be lifeguard supervisors. So Joe, Tom, someone that is in a position that can actually go out there. All three of our kids were lifeguards. I would not ask them to do that, but I would ask them to report it to their supervisors. So, I think we haven't written a citation in 10 years. I mean, so they're not being enforced. And as far as the maintenance supervisor, Eric, I believe, is their maintenance supervisor. Someone like that is not going to be the guys out there, doing road work or what have you. And as far as sanitation, Lou, that's who I was thinking of. Building inspector. So, I mean, any enforcement's better than what we got now. So I'm fine with code enforcement officers if that's going to be enforced. But currently what we're doing is not working. I do not want this to be like the parking and go on 13, 15 years. Let's make something happen now. This has gotten worse. Carla's been talking about cigarette litter as long as I've known her, which is probably 20 years. So, and it continues to get worse. The more people come in here, the more stuff's left behind. I sent all of you the survey that was just done by the Keep America Beautiful. The litter around coastal communities is 16,800 pieces of litter per mile. Whether you read that or not, that's a lot. Along the roadways, it's 2,000 pieces per mile. So, I mean, we got a problem. I mean, and the more people come in here, it's going to continue to get worse. Cigarettes, I think it's 38% of all litter. It's number one litter in the United States. So number one litter in the world, actually. And it doesn't get picked up. I mean, unless we got our Girl Scouts picking it up or beach cleanup. And it's damaging to our stormwater drains. It's damaging to our wildlife. So anyway, I just think we need to not let this continue. I mean, can we have 2 readings tonight and have first and second be done with this? I mean, because it's going on way too long. I mean, it's not something that seems to be addressed, and it just needs, I think let's be done with it. So, and second thing I was going to do is got a prize for everybody. Somebody have this if they want it, because I'm not going to use it. But can anyone guess how much litter is inside this tube right here? You get a prize. So let's see. Throw something out there. That's a good guess. Eric, throw something out there. Huh?
I'm thinking there's probably close to 1,000 pieces in there or something.
She said 5,000. Okay, so you good. John, I know you.
probably 6,000.
Okay.
6,001.
Say 70. I'll say 7,500.
Okay.
2,000.
2,000.
7,499.
All right. RJ wins. It's 1,700 pieces in this one tube. Whenever you buy these, you buy them in 10 packs, so you've got 17,000 pieces. Ask all of the people that are here that did beach cleanup. That's what they picked up after New Year's. How many of you shot one of these off on New Year's? Anyone shoot one of these off? Eric, you look guilty. You look very guilty.
I dropped the surfboard on the ground. Yeah, I dropped the surfboard.
Did you ask anyone not to shoot these off?
I did not.
Did you see people shooting them off?
We did. We saw a couple people
so
shoot
you're
them off.
guilty. You're guilty. That's just bottom line.
I'm always guilty.
Your prize is a big gulp of 7-Eleven. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Reynolds while he's up here?
I mean, and really, guys, this is something, obviously, well, I got more information that I'm thinking about. Our volunteers, we've got great volunteers here. Everybody that comes out, we've got, we've picked up, and we've only been affiliate, not even a year yet, of Keep America Beautiful, and we've picked up 2,400 pounds of trash. And we've collected 500 and some odd pounds of aluminum through the aluminum can recycling program that we've started. That we've got a grant on. If it continues to go, I've reached out to some other supporters, so I think that's going to be a big deal for us. Because we're the only beach I know that is doing this right now. Forgot where I was going there. But yeah, with also 2,400 volunteer hours. That's worth $29 an hour. So we've somewhere around $70-some thousand that the city is saving because we got people out there picking up. I doubt the city spends that much on picking up, do they, Dale? I looked at the numbers. It's probably $7,000 a year. It's what we're spending as a city. So your volunteers, and the groups we've got, the All-Stars, Flagler Strong, Flagler Creates, Betty Stefflick, I mean, all these people are out doing the work that if it wasn't getting done, I mean, I can't imagine what our city would look like. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, further discussion? For motion?
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Reynolds. No matter the hour you are on your game, no matter what time I'm driving through town, if I see you around town morning or night, you're picking up trash. So thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna, look for, yes.
Mr. Bryan wants to come up.
Well, we're gonna open up public comment. Yeah, we're gonna have it in a second. Look for motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2026-08.
Second to motion.
All right, we have motion and a second. We're gonna open this up public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ken Bryan, 46 Palm Drive. You made me stay here this entire time, so I've got a comment. I have to give a kudos to these guys and all the different volunteer groups in the city. And Darrell is right. I mean, if you didn't have these volunteer groups, the mission statement that you see up here, I don't know what the city would look like. Because, I mean, guys, I got the grant to put up the cigarette butt receptacles. And I went through and looked at the other day and all the receptacles that we all picked, the cigarette butts we picked up and mailed off to Terracotta for recycling and all was over 100,000 cigarette butts. So, some of the things that you guys were talking about here, blowing out of the car and out of the truck and wood and all of that, the biggest culprits that we see are the cigarette butts. And my question is, if you're walking down the street, down the boulevard over here, and you see somebody emptying their cigarette butt receptacle from their car on the ground, what are you going to do? What kind of enforcement do we have there? I mean, and I agree, the confrontation with someone like that is huge because, I'm not a small guy. And when these guys were helping me put up receptacles, there was a guy that accosted me for putting up a sign that said no smoking. Because these guys come up and he said, Ken, what was that all about? I said, I was getting to clock the guy, but I didn't want to go to jail. I mean, he got right in my face because I was putting up a sign. So that's the kind of arrogance that we have just for people smoking cigarettes in the cigarette butts receptacles. So I guess the question I have is, is there some kind of a mechanism I can use if someone takes a picture of someone doing something like this and you got proof that they're in that vehicle? Can that be reported? Because it's not the big stuff that we're going to see. It's all those cigarette butts, that's on the street, people flicking them. Education is a big thing because people have no idea what a cigarette butt does to a redfish that's out in the ocean. All the microplastics and all that are getting into the environment. So, I work with these guys. We've all got a good group here. And there's a lot of grants and all, but I commend these guys. It's the Betty Stefflick group. Some of them are here today, and it's a lot of support. And, the city's just asking, the citizens asking that your support as much as possible to help to enforce this. Because that's going to be the biggest problem we have is getting it enforced. And that's why Darrell wanted me to come and just kind of support the group. So do whatever you can in order to get code enforcement. I know the police officers are busy. I'm a part of that group too, so I know they got a lot to do. So you look at other cities, if we can deputize some folks. We'd even talked about getting some grants to help pay for some of the extra time these guys might put in order to help with the enforcement. So we'll do whatever we can in order to keep this effort going. So thanks a lot, Commissioners.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Yeah, Carla.
Yeah. Carla Klein, 1311 South Flagler Avenue, talking trash for many years. I am so grateful that these people have really done what I have not done for the last 15 years, making things happen. The cigarette butts is a huge issue. It's hard to find and catch somebody. So as far as things happening, I don't know that it can. As far as enforcement goes, it would be great. I feel like as far as the lifeguards go, maybe it would be great if the lieutenants could offer citations, but I think a conversation with the lifeguards in general. I know that when we hand out garbage bags on July 4th, people are very welcoming and they respond well. And the lifeguards are our beach people, and if the lifeguards see somebody that is messy, they give them a garbage bag and say, we have a litter, well, it is a $500 fine, please clean up and thank you for coming. Would be welcoming. It's not like they're going to arrest them, but it's conversation. It's getting them to understand what's going on, that we're trying to be clean, and giving them a garbage bag. I think that would be a really good step. I also think the restaurants deal with all of our visitors and guests. I can't imagine that they like paying people to pick up after their customers. I think a conversation, if you see somebody in your establishment throwing their cigarette butt, that's a conversation to have. So our restaurants are at the forefront of educating people. If you don't need a takeout box, don't take it. If you are smoking, please put it in the garbage can. Like that, conversations that we start having with our guests is the biggest thing. And then, yeah, as far as, catching people and handing out tickets, I have access to, I think we have about $4,000, I'm not 100% sure, in an account that we raised to Save the Beach. This is left over. Dennis Bear has the account, and I have talked to him about doing like a blitz campaign one weekend where we hire somebody and they literally hand out tickets, citations, whatever, the whole weekend. I feel like if it's news and Flagler Beach is clean and this is what's going to happen, and we handed out 500 citations, maybe that would get out into the news, and then people would be afraid, and then they won't be so ignorant. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Suzanne Newman, 1601 North Central Ave. I'm part of the Devil Gang in a good way. The cigarette litter prevention, I think Dale came to you and talked about the grant from Keep America Beautiful, which we did apply for. We haven't heard, but we did buy some butt receptacles, and we want to hopefully put them along where the picnic tables are on the promenade. I call it the promenade. But they also offer car ashtrays, Keep America Beautiful, that is, and personal pocket ashtrays. And we're trying to see if they'll send us some, whether or not we get a grant. And we're hoping that maybe one idea would be if who's ever writing the citations at least has some of the pocket ashtrays, or if they're just giving the warning the first time, they can give the person a pocket ashtray before they walk on the beach, which is a non-smoking beach. The car ashtrays are a little bit bigger, but we're trying to get free collateral that we hope we can pass along to folks in the city that can hand those out there. Because even though Joe is getting a lot of us together, we need 1,000 more of us to be doing this. So thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
I guess I can do public comment too, right? Because I had a lot to say and I forgot a lot of it as I was up here. So education and enforcement are the only thing that's going to work. Through the grants that Sue's talking about, we spend them. We have to spend them. We've got to keep up with the data. So, and we want to spend them. We want to spend them to get the word out. I've talked before. I mentioned to you, Dale. I think our garbage trucks are the best billboard we got in Flagler Beach. They're riding every neighborhood. They're riding up and down the street. Let's wrap them. Let's put, please don't litter. I'd like to put Keep Flagler Beach Beautiful on there, but you said we couldn't do it because everybody in town there won't put 7-Eleven on the other side. So, but anyway, I think put a message on there. Put something on there. And she mentioned the restaurants. Carla did. Eric, do you talk to your people and say when you're going out to take the garbage out, please don't throw cigarette butts on the ground because they're there and we know who's doing it? Are the restaurants having those conversations? Are the businesses? Because we got to get the businesses involved. The places you see the litter are prevalent. We know where they are. If you wanted to write a ticket, it'd be easy to do. And what Sue had said, or Sue or Carla both had said, we are willing to pay off-duty police officers. We're willing to pay code enforcement, whoever we can get. And I don't want Flagler Beach to be known that you got a bunch of people out writing tickets. I want Flagler Beach to be known as a clean community. Litter attracts more litter. The more, if you come in, those flags we talked about earlier, people ride down the street and it looks trashy. So they're like, I'll throw a cup down. I'll throw a can down. I'll throw whatever. So the appearance, it goes a long way. The more we do to clean up, the better people are going to take care of our community. And I think I heard something at the last meeting sending the wrong message if someone comes here because we've invited them here for a celebration and they're shooting a confetti cannon off and we give them a ticket. Those are the people I don't want here. I don't want to pick up behind them. I think visitors are coming and trashing our beach. I don't I mean, I hope everyone else feels that way. I mean, if I come to your house and I leave a bunch of trash behind, I probably won't get invited back. So anyway, but thank you for your time, and let's please not let this take 13 years, Scott, okay? Let's not let it take 20 years. Let's make it 2 weeks. I mean, I wanted this done before Memorial Day. I thought it would be a great thing to get out, but there's not one no littering sign in Flagler Beach that I'm aware of. I mean, there's not one that says fine, strictly enforced. I think that's the first step. I mean, if you're coming across the bridge, there should be, I mean, our police cars should have something on the back of them saying, you know, fines strictly enforced or don't flick it. I mean, I think there's some wording we can work on to get, I mean, like I said, I think every vehicle in town that's owned by the city should have some kind of anti-littering logo on there. Like I said, keep Flagler Beach beautiful with the turtle and a cigarette in his mouth. That's probably a pretty good one. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
I just have to say one more thing. Carl Klein, 1311 South Flagler Avenue. It starts at the top. I actually, several years ago, during July 4th holiday, saw a city employee.
Yeah, you have to be quick because you only get one.
Saw a city employee throw a cigarette butt out of a city vehicle on A1A.
All right, anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing no one will close public comment. Mr. Bryan brought up, he was talking about, you know, enforcement action that can be taken. To answer your question, that's that section about the rebuttable presumption. So a citizen, if they see something, can do a sworn statement, and that then action can
That's
be
for the
taken.
vehicular, yeah, that's if you see it ejected from a vehicle, that's when that kicks in, but yes.
So it's only vehicular?
Correct, that's involving the vehicular ejection.
So if a citizen sees somebody throwing stuff on the ground on the beach,
There is no rebuttable presumption created for that.
can there be?
There could be for the same basis as the other and handled the same way. The reason why the vehicles are handled differently is because it's moving. You know, so you've got a limited window there. If it's somebody at the beach and somebody calls police, please come, they see the litter, they see the person, they can make that connection there. Is this yours? Did you put that there? So that's why, well, it was treated differently in part because that's the ordinance that we started with, is that's how it was handled there. But that's how I, in thinking through it, justified the distinction in how they were treating it in Marion County. Was that the vehicle is a special situation, which is why they were creating that rebuttable presumption there, because you've got a limited window to connect the dots there. That vehicle is moving far away from that litter very rapidly.
So if they see it on the beach, they can call non-emergency and just give an officer and...
Correct. If somebody is littered on the beach, that person is still sitting on the beach, officer can come, see the litter, see the person, is this your litter?
Got it. All right, discussion. And we have a motion and a second on that. All right, Penny, if you can call the roll.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes.
Commissioner Santori?
Yes to motion.
Commissioner Spradley?
Yes to the motion.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion. Motion passes unanimous. One of the comments, the pocket ashtrays. American Spirit cigarettes used to give out pocket ashtrays to retailers. They would send us a limited amount, boxes, I think had 100 each in them. We would get like 4 or 5 boxes to give out. But your group, I would probably recommend reach out and get a lot of them. Because when the retailers got them, when we gave them out, they... Yeah? Here, you got talking to Mike.
American Spirit is actually behind the grant that we've applied for. So there are some that I think are available, but I don't know how many we can actually get. I mean, because we want to get a lot. I mean, we would like to get 1,000 or more. And there's other resources we've reached out. There's actually, I usually keep one in my pocket to give out, but I don't have one today. There's another group out of South Florida we reach out to. We kind of want to stay away from plastic, though. I mean, that's a big part of what we like to keep away. So a lot of them are plastic. I looked at some today. I don't know if Sue had a chance to look at them, but they're $2.70 a piece. we'd probably buy quite a few of them, and they're metal. I mean, they're metal. So anyway, there's a ton of resources out there. We just got to get people to use them, and we got to get the word out. Like I said, education is key. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Staff reports. City Attorney.
Just one, Mr. Maceo's lawsuit was served, the one that was filed in March was served a couple weeks ago, just after our last commission meeting. Insurance counsel has already appeared in that case, and they've entered their appearance in that case, and that's my only update tonight.
All right, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next week, based upon some of the comments from the visioning session, we have starting basically staff show and tell. The first one in where it's called Third Thursdays Together. This will be at the Wickline Center. So on the third Thursday of each month between now and November, 2 or 3 departments will basically have a table of display, show and tell and talk and meet and greet with residents. There's no formal presentation. It's just come up talk. So the first ones in the hopper are the city manager's office, wastewater, and facilities management. So that will run from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. at the Wickline Center on the third Thursday of each month. And I think Ms. O'Flaherty has sent, that's been published on the city's Facebook site, and we'll send out reminders as those dates come closer. We do have the Wickline Park Playground dedication scheduled for tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. Hopefully you can all come. Then after, when it gets dark enough, we will have our Friday flick, trying to stay with the 250th anniversary. The movie is Glory, so that'll be shown at the Wickline Park. And then the police department has scheduled a pinning ceremony for Chief Blanchett, soon-to-be Deputy Chief Schoenbrod, and I believe 2 other junior officers. So that's all on one night on May 27th at the Santa Maria Church. And then late today or sometime today, we got notified that 3-year effort has resulted in FEMA funding apparently 4 homes to be elevated that have gone through the process. So I still have to find a way to log into the portal to find more about it, but that effort was led by Dr. Richards, and so we got word that there were 4 homes. FDM has received the grant, and that there's 4 homes. It's been at least a 3.5-year process, but 4 properties were approved by FEMA to have their homes elevated via SIRF grant. The city will be involved in the financial aspects, but every nickel will be reimbursed. The homeowner will be accountable for any unreimbursed money. So I don't know where they're located. Some of that information is not releasable because it's personal information, but we did have 4 properties that apparently have been approved by FEMA to have their homes elevated to avoid flood mitigation, for flood mitigation purposes. So
That's a big deal. The city about gave up on that. Thought it was just...
Well, this goes back, like I said, Dr. Richards handled this one, and it's related to 2023, so I expect that was post-Irma.
Irma
was 17, so I know I'm thinking Ian or Nicole was in late 22.
Yeah, but we lost faith in that whole program because we assumed that they just came here and made a great presentation and then took everybody's info down and left with it.
Yeah, I will, again, I'll get more information tomorrow and maybe attach it to part of my Friday notes to you tomorrow.
We should probably try to get at least get some type of social media out there letting folks know that it actually happened. Because that had high interest back when it was going on.
And I think some of the challenges that were brought to light were people actually, there was a lot of work apparently that was done not permitted, that people just went in and fixed their homes and they did that. And in order to demonstrate repetitive loss, the city had to go in and show that, yep, Commissioner Santori 3 times or 4 times he filed for building permits for flood damage. And if people don't do that, it doesn't qualify for repetitive loss. So part of that is the awareness for how you make yourself eligible for these things. So, but I'll get you as much more information as possible. But yeah, it's a long effort that I know started, I think, before I got here. So kudos to Dr. Richards for keeping that alive.
All right. That all you got? Penny?
Really been inundated with public records requests the last few months. So far this year, there's actually been only 91 working days, and in those 91 working days, I've had 418 requests, so I'm averaging 5 a day. And they're not, some I can turn right around quickly. Most of them take a lot more time and involve other departments as well. I haven't been charging for these unless they're excessive. I usually try to talk to them and say, hey, let me help you. Let's narrow this down so I can get you what you want at no cost. Otherwise, it's going to be this amount, and then usually they'll actually tell me what they want. But the way they're rolling in, and I'm falling behind in other things, so I'm going to start charging, and it's unfortunate. I don't want to, but I have to. Because I mean, if it keeps going, I'm going to be asking for part-time help, and I'd like to generate some revenue to support that request.
That's a lot.
And that's not including phone calls, and I've logged it all. I have emails and everything, and that's not including staff. I have a lot from staff too to help staff. So significant.
That all you got? City planner.
Thank you. So we're meeting with the PARB at a workshop before we meet during the regular meeting. So working with other departments, we're going to amend you'll see some amendments to the Land Development Code, some graphics for signage to make it easier to understand what it is, how big, how you measure area, those things that get confusing for folks. So we're going to simplify that. You'll see that coming up. We also updated Gridix, so now we have a short-term rental layer on Gridix, so you could see where the transferable grandfathered short-term permits for short-term rentals are and where they're allowed, so people actually know if they call for one that they can actually see it on Gridix. And like Penny, it's a lot of public requests, and it's really, one email takes a long time to reply to when you have to do some research. So hopefully more and more people are using Gridix, and it is helpful. And so that's all I have. We do have workshops with the planning board scheduled until further notice so that we can bring forward some items, gray area ordinances, so we can clean them up. So you'll be seeing that in the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. LT, you got anything? We got some littering people to catch. All right, Mayor.
Park dedication, 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Thank you to City Manager for representing not only the city but myself at the FCAR Meet the local representatives morning the other Wednesday morning. I could not be there. He attended and spoke very well on behalf of that. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Santori.
Yes, I lost my place here. First, thank you, Penny, for my public records request. I don't know if I was a candidate yet, but it did cost me $91, I believe, that time. It was quite a bit of information. And thank you, Ms. McClenning. I think you also responded to quite a bit of my requests then. Let's see. So, with the recent events here at the city, I've had a discussion with Mr. Smith and Mr. Martin about the perception here, and I feel like staff needs to know that they can go to the city manager with concerns, and those concerns be taken seriously. And it feels like the last couple of issues could have been avoided possibly if that could have happened. And I don't know if that's what anyone else up here has been hearing, but I've been getting a little bit of that. But the little bit I've been hearing does concern me, and I just want to make sure these things get discussed and taken care of in the route that we can do, and Mr. Mark can take care of these things in the route that he can do. So I know we already were discussing I don't know if it was a workshop or an agenda item about some transparency things. I don't know if we want to, look at these personnel policies that are supposed to be coming up soon, if we want to expedite any particular items like that one. I know I would like to, but that's really all I have right now.
Well, you're on that. I don't think the change in personnel policies is going to help what you're talking about. That's scheduled soon, though, getting that reviewed or by that third party.
We have the request for proposals out for revising or reviewing and revising as appropriate the HR policies. And as I talked with both Commissioner Santori and Commissioner Sherman, anybody can come to me at any time. And I know that there are issues out there that have never come to my attention.
Right.
So people have an open door for me, and they have an open door for Ms. Mathis. So we are always here, and if people want issues addressed, they have to bring them to our attention.
Right. But the question that I have was about the HR policies. You just to reiterate the answer, you have that.
That is out for, it was published 2 or 3 weeks ago, it went out. So, right, so that'll come in, and then we will bring to you it was a request for proposal, so it'll be the lowest responsive cost, or most responsive response to the RFP. It's a request for proposal, so a cost involved. We'll bring that for you forward to have that process start. So that'll probably be before you in June.
Yeah, and the other part of what you said, it sounded like you were kind of looking to us for a little bit of like input or feedback as far as like the gap with employees and things getting this wrong. I agree. I think that, so our city manager has an open door policy, and when things like this come up, first thing I do is ask him and say, was this brought to you? And the answer is no, they didn't come see me about it. There's a gap, and usually that gap falls with the department heads or the HR department, or both. It just depends on, the exact scenario. I don't get entrenched with like employee matters because we're not supposed to, but there is a gap, and this has been going on for a long time. This predates this instance. I mean, heck, as long as I've been sitting up here, you hear about these things, and we don't give direction on employee matters, but I think that it would be a real good idea, and this is just my opinion, that the department heads and HR probably get something like continuing education or, some more training on these type of matters, because there is something, there's a dynamic where you'll have an employee with an issue, and then you have a city manager with an open door policy, and those two don't connect. And this is not reflective of you. This predates you. This has been going on for a while. And I remember specifically a while ago, I think you might have been elected, but there was an issue with the firefighters, and they were told point blank by the chief that they could not go to commissioners to ask anything else except the weather or something like that. It was stuck in an email, and I read it up here on the dais, and we had a big discussion about that. And it's not our place to give direction on employee matters, but that's my observation. There's something going on that predates you by a long shot. So opportunity for you would be to figure out what that is and get that gap bridged, because folks aren't coming to you. And but I do know that over the years, and again, my comment is that I'm saying is not a comment that happened under your watch. It was before you, but folks would go to HR and they would leave feeling like it didn't get resolved. And so then it's, it simmers and you don't know where it's going to go from there. And I'm not pointing fingers at HR. I'm just saying something happens where there's this canyon from the employees to the city manager, and the folks in the middle don't seem to be either really well trained or possibly they might need to get put on your page of how we do things for what it's worth.
And I think, as we've mentioned, if employees come to you, the first question should be, have you brought this up with the city manager? If people aren't doing that, that's the issue. They need to come, again, either have you brought this up with HR or have you brought it up with the city manager? Because I can tell you, I'm not getting a lot of feedback. A lot of the stuff that happened with the fire department did not come to light because they did not come to me. So if employees are coming to you, your first question should be, have you raised this issue with the city manager?
And that's why I'm making the comment I'm making. Because I've asked that question. They all say no because of different reasons. And so that's why I think looking at those folks there and getting some training done or some expectations put in place about how it's not okay to be a block is, possibly something to look at.
Yeah, thank you for articulating that for me. But yeah, there is, as you said, you've asked, the first question is, have they come to you? And I think what the response might be is they might be in fear of retaliation, or, they have a $40,000 job that they rely on to feed their families, and the last thing they want to do is make the director, if it doesn't pan out with any corrective action, what happens to them? So thank you.
Is that all you got?
I guess, how do we get the message to the employees that it is safe to do this? It is safe to come.
I'm open and clear right now. If you have an employee come to you, ask them if they've come to me. I will reiterate at a staff meeting, and I will tell you that retaliation, if it's documented, will not be tolerated. I have no evidence of any retaliation, because there's a lot of concerns about, well, that's why I don't file code enforcement complaints, or that's why I don't complain about the building department, because I'm going to be retaliation. That's the biggest red herring out there. So you tell the employees that come to you, have you gone to the city manager, and I will share that same message with department staff.
What if they didn't?
What if they didn't what?
What if they didn't go to city manager?
Then they should come to me. Why wouldn't they come to me?
Commissioners can still listen though, right?
Absolutely. But it can't be resolved.
No, I didn't say be resolved, just...
I mean, do they want the
Listen to-
situation resolved, or are they just bending your ear? I would think that
I
you,
think they're probably looking for protection in fear of retaliation, maybe.
and if there's any word of retaliation, I'm very clear that retaliation is not tolerated. And if you can provide me evidence of retaliation that affected somebody's job, then it'll be addressed. I'm aware of the drama that's going on.
I mean, on that note, Mr. Smith, I mean, would a commissioner sitting on a meeting like that, what does that expose us to?
You say commissioner sitting in on a meeting like what? You mean with the individual?
Well, I thought maybe I misunderstood Mr. Martin, but did you say that a commissioner could sit on a meeting with an employee coming to you with a concern?
I think what Mr. Martin was suggesting was to direct that employee to his office, not to have a joint meeting with the employee.
Mr. Spradley.
Thank you. 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, I'm not sure which, I had a town hall and had the topic being golf carts and the bridge, because that seems to be a topic that's been floating around here more so recently than before, but it's been around ever since the 20 years I've lived here. And so usually when I have these town halls, it's just to talk about what's on the agenda that just passed or what's on the agenda for the next week and so forth. But I dedicated it to nothing but golf carts and the bridge. And I had, city manager was there, and also our resident, civil engineer, Paul McKitka, was there. And, we've had, in the 3+ years I've been up here, we've had, Veranda Bay conversation, Summertown conversation, we've had, everything having to do with the pier, and everything having to do with our infrastructure, all of that. And I have these town halls, and there'll be anywhere from 3 or 4 to 7 or 8 people there. For golf carts over the bridge, I had 22 people there who showed up, and it's not even an issue that's coming up before the commission anytime soon. But so I was struck by the interest in that. I would say it was probably fairly evenly split with those who are interested in having the ability to cross the bridge, either go from here to go to Publix, or from the other side to go to the beach, and those who were say no way, primarily because of safety concerns. And so that sort of a 50-50 split maybe leans a little more towards the no side, or maybe it's just those who don't want it are a lot more louder about it and seem to be more committed to that. But it was interesting to hear the points that were made, because there were some, the presentation by Mr. Martin, and also Mr. Matika was there to talk about, he had these diagrams that he explained to us pretty well about if it were to go forward, what it would entail. So to me, it was very interesting to hear, and then to hear the public feedback on that. But again, I said it then, and I said it when I posted on social media that I'd be having the conversation. That doesn't mean that we're having golf carts go across the bridge, but that was the first reaction I got, was when I said I'm going to have a meeting about this. It was like, oh, so now you're going to vote for carts on the bridge, and that's not the case. It's just to take the temperature of the residents to see if that's something that would be of interest. And of course, if DOT says no, then it becomes a moot point very quick. That's the end of it at that point. If DOT says yes to the conceptual plan to do it, then that just opens the conversation. That's all that it does. But anyway, that was that. I just want to report the results of that meeting. Thank you.
Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, RJ, thanks for touching on that point tonight about the, some of the issues that have been brought probably to you, the same issues brought to your attention that have been brought to mine, so thanks again for bringing that up. Earlier tonight we did talk about the golf course, so I just want to make sure, I don't mean to keep on bringing this up, but I didn't want to get too far off topic when we were talking about this. So he has basically one more extension, and I know that there were, the 2 gentlemen had left that originally had come before. So in this instance, this falls through. Where do we go from there? What are the options? I know there's that lease agreement. I mean, how does that play out if we were to, put this back out there for, these guys seem pretty aggressive. They were ready to give us a cash offer for it, tonight if we would have, given them the opportunity. But I know there's the legalities, there's the lease agreement and things like that. So just if you need more time to review the lease again or anything like that, I'll gladly circle back with you. But I just, to get this out there in the open and just kind of see, because, I'll be honest with you, I think I've said to you on the phone even before, I'm beginning to lose a little bit of faith that this is actually going to go through.
The lease agreement is still in place, but given what they have left themselves with at this point and the work it would take to do to pick that back up, I can't imagine they would do anything other than walk away from that lease and hand it back.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't had those conversations.
Right.
But given what I'm hearing from the public about the state
of it's,
I can't imagine that they would make that investment to live with that lease. I expect they would just hand it back.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Where do I start? I'd like to hear an explanation about what happened to Steve Cox, please.
He was terminated for a loss of confidence.
Loss of confidence. Was there any kind of probation or written up and?
Nope.
Just immediate termination?
Correct.
For lack of confidence?
By both me and the members of the
Was
fire
he able
department.
to defend himself in any way, to explain?
Yes.
And he did?
Not to my satisfaction. I interviewed every single member of the fire department. They had all lost confidence in Chief Cox.
So no suspicion of coercion in any way with other fire people?
What do you mean by coercion?
Getting together and coming up with a plan to
Nope, none at all.
Steve gone?
Nope.
I'm not sure how this works. I know, Eric, you said that we could talk about it at the end of the meeting, and I don't know how this works. So the city manager's coming up, his contract's coming up for renewal, automatic renewal. And I'd like to recommend that put him on probation until his evaluations come out, whenever that happens, before the budget.
So I think, and the city attorney can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the best thing to do with that would be a agenda item. Or no? To talk about that?
It certainly is. If there's a desire to have an agenda item, it's helpful to have it as an agenda item. I don't think it's something you would have to have as an agenda item to discuss that tonight. I think the issue that the commissioner is raising is that if I'm understanding correctly, you're looking to not have the automatic renewal of that contract.
Yeah, 'cause that happens once it goes at the end of May, it automatically renews. That's why I'm putting this out here.
So, I guess I'm not tracking. Like,
the discussion is, do you want to say that you do not intend to automatically renew city manager's contract? Because it will automatically renew for another 1-year term if you do not.
Got it. So we would be
meeting between now and then, but
we would be looking at a consensus style scenario. Just,
or even a motion to that effect. But it's not to terminate city manager, it is to notify that the contract will not automatically renew. To put you in a position where you can discuss the contract. Because if it automatically renews, you've got it renewed for another year. Of course, you can always terminate without cause at any time, but then that triggers severance payments and things like that. I think that would be the distinction between terminating in term and simply not renewing.
So wouldn't that, I guess, the best course of action be make discussion of the city manager contract an agenda item? Or
again, you certainly can. I'm just explaining why I think that Commissioner Cunningham is raising it tonight and asking for that discussion tonight.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So Commissioner Cunningham, you want to have a discussion on city manager contract auto renewal?
Yeah.
And what you're proposing? Can you restate what you're proposing?
I can make a motion to not automatically renew city manager's contract.
Okay. So did you want to discuss it or anything before or are you looking for a second?
Could discuss it all you want, yeah.
So, you want to have discussion or, I would be looking for a discussion or a second.
Well, do you want to look for a second and then if you get a second, have discussion?
Right. We'll do that. That's a good call. All right. So do we have a second?
I'd like to discuss it before we, yeah, I'd like to discuss it. I think that I would like to be prepared a little bit more to have a little bit more in detailed discussion here. I think that, we have to look at, I think that this takes a little bit more, to me, a little bit more preparation and discussion to have further. You and I have had to terminate a city manager up here, and we know what that looks like and what City Hall, why we did what we did. And, Commissioner Spradley was very, at that time was very boisterous with us, and some of the other residents were very boisterous with us and the business community and things like that. So not that I would like to have further discussion and make this maybe an agenda item before we were to go and, act on this right now. I'm not opposed to, I'd rather have more discussion where I'm prepared and really weigh out everything with what that looks like and, at a meeting before we were to go forward with something like this tonight. I don't know if that's possible or not, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not not opposed to having the conversation, but I just don't think I'm prepared to make that type of decision this evening.
Mm-hmm. We have one more commission meeting before the end of the month, don't we? Could do it then.
Other thoughts? Any other thoughts on what Commissioner Sherman was proposing?
Well, I mean, if there's not a second, then that takes care of itself right there.
Right. Yeah, and just for discussion purposes, I'm not opposed to, I'm not for or against the auto renewal part. If we wanted to be more methodical, I know there are municipalities out there that they don't do auto renewals. They make that decision to continue it. If it's just it's more of a administrative step. So it could be something that we could talk about, but as far as like, should you take the auto renewal away and then make it a manual decision versus just having a discussion where if the city manager isn't doing a good job, having an upcoming termination at the end of that contract period. It's all just in how you want to word it, really. If that helps. I mean, I'm impartial to it because it's just an administrative function.
When is his evaluation, Mr. Martinsdale?
Is it August?
August.
So maybe the halfway in between point, or maybe after an election, to make it a routine agenda item to bring up just as a discussion. Do we want to?
Here's the curveball with that is, so city manager has a contract renewal coming up. Now, if you have a evaluation that is, say, just for discussion purposes, halfway through that, if you did a contract non-renewal, then you have a city manager in place for 6+ months until the contract expires. Or if you do a motion to term, then you're kicking in the all the benefits of what that termination in the contract follows. So having it, say, in the fall or halfway through that contract term, it makes it more complicated versus having a discussion at that time. It's just the will of the body, how you all want to treat it. To me, it's administrative. I'm kind of with you. I think if I've been through that, and that's a massive thing. So I'm good where it's at, but if we do that, we would need a motion or a second to move forward with that. Do we not have it? Okay. That doesn't stop us from discussing this further, though. So we can discuss this further, or Commissioner Cunningham could submit an agenda item. You finished my sentence for me. It's right on the money. So you can always do that as well. It's really, whichever way you want to attack that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. What else you got?
I was contacted by a citizen that lives on Palm Drive. I won't say their name. They said we had a sewer overflow out of a lift station that filled up a whole swale on the side of Palm Drive. And I'd like to know if we self-reported to the DEP for a spill report. Did we self-report that to the DEP?
I'd have to check, see if that got reported, how that got reported to the city. I'm reporting to you is one thing. Did you then report it to the city?
Did it say that again?
Who did the citizen report it to, other than you?
Well, they contacted me, yeah.
Okay, and
I don't know who.
how would the city have found out about that? I guess that's what I'm saying is, when there are.
They told me the city workers were there working
Okay,
and
well,
cleaning it and
then I will find out if the city reported it.
washing it off into the wetland. But you have to report those to the DEP.
Absolutely.
No exception.
That's what got us in trouble before.
We're still under a consent order, aren't we? City?
Absolutely. I will check to see if it was reported.
Yeah, if you could just send us an email on that.
I went out and looked at the wet wells the 3 wet wells for the lift stations from last meeting, I guess. I mean, they need to be done. There's no question about that. I'm still reviewing the log books. They're lacking big time. There's a lot of stuff that's not in there. I mean, there's all the readings for the pumps running, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that's required by DEP. I mean, it's by law that you have to keep up with. The operation and maintenance log of everything that's done on that lift station. And annual reporting. I don't know how we're doing that. We are doing that, right? Like the MS4?
I'll check, yeah, the MS4 and all that, and I'll check with, make sure our utility maintenance workers are doing their job as well.
And we were down, well, went and looked at the South 25th when it was on bypass for a year and a half. And infiltration was incredible. I mean, the amount of water running into that wet well that was just clear as it could be. We have between South 23rd and South 25th on South Daytona, we need to get a CCTV of that sewer main because there is a whole lot of water coming in. I mean, a lot. Thousands and thousands, 24/7, never slowed down. I think the pipe's really bad on South Daytona to have that much infiltration. See what it looks like, and then pipe burst it. No slip line or zip line, and pipe burst. At least that section, 1,200 feet. But get a TV to see what we got. I mean, we got to prioritize. You're fixing doing the lift stations linings. We still got a whole lot of water pouring in there. If we got rid of our infiltration, we would reduce what's going to the wastewater plant 27%. I did all of that, worked on all the numbers to see what it was, and that's what it would be. It's crazy. Think about it, 27% less if we work on our infiltration, our dilapidated sewer mains. That's just kind of been, there's grant money, and then it stopped because it supposedly wasn't working, may not have been working. And you got to do the next thing. You can't just forget about it. It's not going to go away, ever, till you fix it. Got that?
Yep, that's all part of the capital plan and the budget that'll be presented to you.
And that, just, Commissioner Cunningham, that right there, with that amount, because with the wastewater pulling out of the intercoastal, all of that you're talking about, that's salt water getting in there, right? So that's, you know, we target those things and fix those. That might push us out of needing that.
It would be reused water.
Yeah, the reverse osmosis thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a massive cost to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, the water has enough of salinity content that even if you eliminated all the I&I, you would still need the reverse osmosis. Because the water that would remain, if you take out the 27%, would end up with a higher concentration of salinity. So some of that water helps to dilute the salinity content.
But that's not fresh water getting in the pipes, though. That's salt water.
Correct. But you still have to take that. Even if you take that out, I mean, you're never going to completely eliminate I&I. And we have that. I mean, it's in our water. But yeah, I mean, the pipes have been neglected for decades. And so that's what the staff is working on starting to address, and it's costly.
I'm just wondering if we reduce I&I enough, though, it puts us in that spec, because we're at a certain spec of salinity. If you go under it, then you don't need the reverse osmosis.
Yeah.
There could be an angle there.
And according to the analysis that McKim-Creed and Mead have done, you're never going to get ahead of it in that regard, because by reducing the volume of water, that creates other issues with regard to the salinity. And I'll get you the information that McKim-Creed has shared with us.
Right.
Because they're looking at, is the reuse, are you actually going to be able to be substantial enough to take care of your reuse? Because even when you treat the reuse with reverse osmosis, we still have to get rid of the residue from the reverse osmosis plant, which is, by the simple operations of the reverse osmosis, is more highly concentrated with salinity than the water you were cleaning. So where are we going to put that? And some of the preliminary discussions staff is having with the engineers is, yeah, do you still have to do a deep well injection, which is $10 million? So we're trying to avoid, and they're like, are you going to be able to do enough with your water or your reuse to get rid of it? And there's some concerns that says, well, what are the other options going forward? So yeah, it's an issue, and it comes down to money. And that's the wastewater system, which in addition to working to repair the I&I, which yes, we'll seek grants, but we've got the whole construction of the wastewater treatment plant that's ongoing right now.
I think we still have money in a grant for that from a couple of years ago, 22, more than that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's no question that the infrastructure in this city has been ignored for decades.
Yeah, we all know that. I'm talking about how we can fix it.
And it's going to come down to money. But we are working on fixing it. But this commission and this city staff is not responsible for the deterioration of the system. Hold us accountable for fixing it, but that's going to require budgetary decisions on behalf of the city commission.
Well, that's why I brought up prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
It's take care of the most important stuff first, which would be I&I. Reduce going to the treatment plant 27%. No I&I. That's a big deal.
Right.
I know it's going to cost money to fix all those lines, but there's not a lot of them's okay. I know where the ones aren't. That study's been done. It's a long time ago. Nothing's been done with it.
And like I said, it'll cost the money, and that'll be how much do you want to raise the wastewater rates in the coming year? Because that's what's going to pay for it.
Well, I'm waiting on the rate study for the wastewater plant for the $50 million.
Right. We have that. We're having it redone because the one that was originally done for the wastewater plant did not include Veranda Bay. Now that we have Veranda Bay, the utility rate study is being recalibrated. I said you'd have that in time for the budget. So that's what we're working on with Florida Rural Water.
All right. That's all I got.
All right, I don't have anything. So with that, we'll move to public comments regarding basically anything. Open up public comment. 3 minutes, please address the chair. Charlie, you came for a reason. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. I'll look for motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
All right, we are adjourned.